All right. What's up, guys? We're recording now. Um, so just to explain what this is, we filmed season 5 of Survivor Lake Fork last September. And it was an incredible season, had a ton of fun, a lot of amazing players. I got around a third of the way through editing the season, and then the only hard drive that I stored everything on went corrupt. I shipped it off to a place to hopefully get fixed, and in turn, they broke it even more. So it's my fault for not creating a backup. I am an amateur. I now have learned my lesson. I know what to do in the future to prevent this from happening again. But in the meantime, because we have an all-star season coming up and we want to immortalize the hard work all these players put into the season, we're going to do kind of a recap show. So we're going to go through all the events that happened this season, play by play, hear from some of the players themselves. Got some of them online right now. So one by one, if y'all want to just introduce yourselves, we're not going to spoil anything about how you did, but just your name, what you do. Yeah. Does anyone want to start? Let's start with Taylor.
Mm. Hi guys, I'm Taylor. Um, what am I supposed to be? I'm 24. I'm from Katy, Texas. Um, and I went to the University of Arkansas. Woo peg.
Nice. Okay. Theo, Autumn, and Jack, do y'all want to go?
Yeah, what's up? My name's Theo. I'm a creative director. I'm 27 years old, and that's about it for me.
Not Josh's eyebrows going up when you said your age.
Oh, shoot. 27. Anyways, yeah.
I'm Jack or Jacqueline. I'm 24 and I'm a project manager. And I went to A&M Galveston. Gagum, come on, sister.
I'm Autumn. I'm 26. I'm a PA. I'm from Dallas, and I also went to A&M. Yakum.
All right. Josh.
Hey everyone, my name is Josh Hernandez. I'm 24 years old and I'm a software engineer and I went to Mississippi College.
Sweet. Abby.
Hi, I'm Abby. I'm 24. I am from Chicago, went to the University of Iowa, and I am a nurse.
Sweet. So we're gonna be having some more people pop on later. If they show up, maybe they'll introduce themselves, maybe not. But let's get started. So, can y'all see this?
Yeah.
Thanks. Good. All right. Cool. We're good to go. So this is just a sweet cast, or a picture of the whole cast. This is a lot of fun. We got some volunteers in there too. It was a really pretty location. I think the weather was pretty good for what it has been in the past. Other than the thunderstorm at night. That was kind of cool. I'm kind of bummed we don't have that on video anymore. Okay. So some background on the season. It was last September 2024 in Nacogdoches, Texas. This is the first time we've done it in Nacogdoches, which was really cool. The theme was brains versus brawn versus beauty. It's one that I had been wanting to do for a long time, and so it was really cool to make that happen. I think it turned out really well. Yeah, as I said, the hard drive corrupted in December. I spent 5 months trying to fix it. That's why there's been kind of just radio silence because I've been waiting. But they were unable to recover almost any of it. And so the only remnants I have are videos I took of me editing it on my iPhone and texted it to people. So you'll see a few of those later. So we're going to start by introducing the Brains tribe. We got Josh and Taylor here who are part of this tribe. So on the Brains tribe, we had Bailey, who is a ministry associate, Griffin, an entrepreneur, Josh, software engineer, Lizzie, a business consultant, Steven, an escrow officer, and Taylor, an asset manager. Griffin and I actually played a season of Survival Challenge last July, and so I asked him to come play. And he kind of kept that a secret from everyone that he had played one of these before. Everyone else is completely new. So that's the Brains Tribe. Fun picture of y'all. Then on the Braun tribe, we got Autumn and Theo here, who are part of the Braun tribe. So we have Autumn, who was a PA student at the time, now a PA, exciting. Caden, mechanical engineer. Eddie, an HR generalist. I don't know what that is, or if that's a real position. Eduardo is a business analyst. Paige is a graphic designer, and Theo is an art director. Look at them. They love to sit in this trough and make TikToks. Okay, now we got the Beauty Tribe. We got Abby as our representative from the Beauty Tribe here. Should have a couple more. Oh, and Jack. She's just in the background on the bed. We should have a few more popping in later. So we got Abby, who's a NICU nurse. Ashton is a PR specialist. Cade, who's a student and a worker at HEB. Jacqueline, who's a project manager. Roman, who's a training specialist. And Wyatt, who is a plumber. And there they are. All right, so I will share kind of just the intro. So it's on our YouTube page, check it out, but here it is. For some reason went black. There's actually an ending to it. There's a couple of Easter eggs in the theme song that I won't talk about until we're done covering the season because they spoil the season. But if you look closely, you can figure out basically what happens based on that. So we're gonna get into it. So round one, welcome to camp. At this point in the game, I divided everyone into their brains, brawn, and beauty tribes. You get back to camp and you get tree mail, and it says find food and search for the hidden immunity idol. So we're going to go through each tribe, and you can talk about your experience. What was it like when you're getting there? What are the personalities? What did you do when you first got to camp? Were people looking around? So yeah, we'll get into that. We'll start with the brains. So Taylor and Josh, since y'all were part of that, you can just talk me through what happened. They're shy.
I think we got to camp and we looked at clues. We had like these huge hay barrels. And so everyone went looking for like water, snacks, and then the idol. And a bunch of people went out to the forest to look for the idols. But I stayed by the hay barrels. And I think Griffin was around me. But wait, can I say this?
Yeah.
Oh, I had found the hidden immunity idol clue, like maybe a minute into searching, and shoved it into my shirt and waited till I was alone to read it. That was it.
Yeah, what did it say?
Ooh. It was something about like at the first challenge underneath a cone was the actual idol. So like I didn't actually have the hidden immunity idol. I just had a clue. And I don't think anyone else was supposed to see me grab the idol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Josh, you have any other insight?
No, I mean, I had no idea that went down. I think everybody kind of went their separate ways, like Taylor was saying, and we were kind of just, I mean, prepping for the hopefully long game we would get to play throughout the weekend. But yeah, this was like, I guess first time at camp, and I think all the vibes were high, and yeah, we enjoyed getting to know, different team members. I think our team specifically was uh pretty strong. We felt strong initially, and yeah, but also we didn't know each other very well. And yeah, so just kind of getting to know each other and also kind of, maybe not get to know each other too closely because at the end of the day, we're all competing against each other.
Yeah. And Josh loved to jump between the hay bales, which scared the crap out of me when I saw it on video. I was like, bro, you could have broken a leg or something. But
Yeah, that was honestly fun. I think we had the best camp. But I
I
might be biased.
agree. Definitely. Anything else, Taylor?
Um, I don't think so. That was pretty much it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, moving on to the brawn. So let me explain what this diagram kind of means. This is my perspective of the alliances that formed pretty immediately. There was a girls' alliance. Y'all clicked really quickly. Kaden and Eddie also had a bond. They clicked very quickly. Um, and it was kind of apparent that Eduardo was on the outs. So Autumn and Theo, do y'all kind of want to talk about the whole dynamic? What happened when you got to camp?
Yeah, sure. We can talk about it a little bit. Sorry, you're like we're remembering things as they come and trying to not
Yeah.
remember too much. So yeah, at first it was definitely guys versus girls, and then Eduardo was kind of the odd man out. So we were thinking, girls and Eduardo being the odd man out, it was pretty easy for us to just vote them all off. And, I don't know, as we go, things change. But yeah, that's what I have to say. Going to camp for Braun was interesting. We just got there, we were pretty chill, but immediately people just wanted to start strategizing. Eduardo hop back on. So I guess he has something to say. Oh no. Oh no. But I'll just leave it at that.
Oh no, he's here. Shut up.
Yeah, Eduardo, you want to talk about that? Do you know why you were kind of being isolated?
Dude, because I don't even know how to play the game. I was just all happy-go-lucky the whole time.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, but then they saw my tug-of-war skills and they all fell in
Hey,
love with me.
don't get ahead of yourself. We're still in the first
Oh,
round. No spoilers.
also, timeout. Why am I not highlighted? Why am I in this little black corner?
Because you were on the outs. You weren't part of the two alliances. You might not have known that, but that's what happened.
Oh,
Surprise, Eduardo.
This is
thanks,
why
thanks a
you
lot, guys.
were on the outs.
Okay. We'll keep going. I'll mute myself.
Okay. So something funny that happened. When y'all got to camp, you started looking for food, started looking for the idol. Eddie, I had this on video, and of course it's gone now. But this was the funniest thing ever. Autumn goes, uh, "Does anyone think like anyone's found the idol yet?" And then Eddie looks down; it's right there. He goes, "Oh, I found it," and he holds it up. So, do y'all want to kind of talk about that?
I don't do you remember
I
that?
really don't remember that.
I think that
Wow.
yeah.
Where did we find the idol?
And then what did we do?
Where
What did we do with it? Do you remember what we did with it? 'Cause we were
So
looking around for what were we looking around for?
where was it?
it was at the base of a tree. He picks it up and he opens it, and everyone gathers around him and he starts reading the clue.
Yes. You remember
And,
this?
and Paige is just like, "What are you doing? Like, this is Survivor 101."
Yes.
Yeah, and so he did not realize that he wasn't supposed to share it with everyone, but he did. And it was the same clue. It was that the idol is hidden in the second immunity challenge under a cone. So,
Yes.
um,
So
yeah.
we made sure to use that. It was interesting
We
how
worked as a team for it, though.
we worked as we worked as a team for
I
it.
don't know if that
We'll,
Let us you don't want to get
we'll
more
get
ahead.
there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now beauty tribe. Abby, you want to talk through the? Oh, and Jack. Yeah, Abby and Jack. Jacqueline, I can't see you back there, so I keep reading you're there. But y'all two want to talk about the dynamics and What happened?
Yeah, when we got back to camp, I think we pretty much immediately like went and found the food, and then we were like painting our tribe or like debating if we should paint the tribe flag. And then we honestly didn't have much to our camp. Like it was pretty much just like grass and like a few like random things. And so people were kind of like looking for the idol clue, but I think Ashton eventually found it, but no one like saw her get it. I like didn't see her. And so she had that without pretty much anyone knowing.
I think she pulled Cade over when she found it. I'm not sure what it was about Cade that made her trust him immediately, but she told him that she found the clue, I believe. But I just had the video of that. That's why I know that.
Yeah, I had no idea, but me and Ashton kind of like were feeling out the vibes, and I think right away we kind of knew we wanted to work together because we both are big Survivor fans, and we could tell. So, yeah, pretty much immediately, me and her were kind of in on working together.
Sweet. Jacqueline, what is your perspective?
I'm gonna be honest, that was all new information I just heard from Abby. Well, this okay, so how much am I revealing here? Am I
Round
just saying
one, just
like
initial
round
thoughts and
one?
feelings about
Yeah.
it when you first got there.
Okay, first got there, I knew nothing. Okay. And they all thought I was capping. They're like, "Oh, shut up, Jack. Like, you dated someone from last season." And I'm like, "No, I didn't. I'm not capping. I don't know what any of this is." I asked, "What's an idol?" probably 15 times, and no one answered me. And they told me to shut up. They thought I was kidding. I guess I was kind of known as like jokester, but I was being straight up. I had no idea what was happening. So I teamed up as an ally with Wyatt and Roman, and I was fed lies.
Yeah, I had a video of you were asking like what an idol was, and then y'all started talking about American Idol, and then it just turned into singing. And that was pretty much the beauty camp.
Like,
Sweet.
what's that thing people take to lose weight? What's it called?
Ozempic.
Yeah.
No, like what? There's like that's a lot that was shown. Anyway, yeah, no one would tell me what it was. I had no idea until we literally got to the thing, and I was like, "What's happening?" Yeah, okay, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So first challenge. I will just explain this one. This was a blowout. Um, so the clue said the tree mail said slow and steady. Because whenever I've done this challenge in the past, it's always like, yeah, I mean, you're going slow and steady. But the Brains and the Brawn tribe both had people who had done this challenge in the past, realized that the trick to it was just everyone holds their rope really tight except for the person running in the block. And so they finished with literally like 15 seconds, and Beauty was on their like second block. So yeah, that was tough. Brains and Broad both won immunity. Uh, Beauty lost, sending them to the first tribal council. So Abby and Jacqueline, what's the strategy talk going on?
So from like my perspective, me, Ashton, we're working together. We kind of pulled in Cade. And then honestly, we were just kind of debating like between the other ones. We were trying to figure out like who we could pull in for majority because you obviously need four to vote someone out. And so we were trying to figure out like who the heck would flip and vote against because it was kind of obvious the other three were working together. So um yeah, we kind of were just trying to figure out between Jacqueline and Roman who we wanted to vote out. And then we, at the very last second, got the vibe that Wyatt would flip and vote for Roman. I remember like sitting at tribal council, looking at Wyatt, being like, "Are you going to vote him out?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And so, yeah, we all voted out Roman instead,
Well,
or we picked.
okay. Yeah, remember not to get too ahead of ourselves. Tribal
Sorry,
council hasn't happened yet.
we picked Roman to be our target.
Okay. Yeah, Jacqueline, what's your perspective?
I had no strategy.
Still trying to figure out when the idol is over here.
Yeah, they all said we're gunning for Ashton. And I was like, I'm on board with this plan. Let's vote Ashton. And um then I could tell that Wyatt was maybe kind of like teetering. And I was like, what's happening? He's like, no, like, and then there was some side conversation going on, and that's when I was like, wait, do people lie in this game? And I was like, dang, this is. And then I thought for sure, I was like, no, we're gunning for Ashton. Like, I was like, yeah, I think that this chick's about to get freaking nixed. But that's all I'll say.
Yeah, so kind of the vibes we're getting from this is one alliance is kind of the Survivor super fans. The other alliance are the people who are really chilling and they're kind of on vacation. Um, and Ashton was extremely like gung ho about Survivor and like strategy. She's very open about that. And so that really rubbed the chilling people the wrong way. So that's why I think Ashton got a target on her back. So I got a couple clips from the beauty camp. Let me know if you can't hear these. Hopefully the sound is working.
That's fine.
I don't know. Bro, it is heating up. Like, how am I just saying that?
So yeah, that's kind of the vibes. I'm so sad y'all don't get to see Jack on the show because she was hilarious. One more.
Let's be honest. I'm gonna be honest with myself. We all know I don't bring anything to the table when it comes to skill. But if you want to have fun,
Are you saying are you campaigning?
that is what your priorities are. If you want to do vibes or you want to come out here and die, then all power to you. Vibes or die. What do you want from us?
Yeah, so that was the going to be the title of the first episode, Vibes or Die. And that kind of explains that whole alliance. They were very vibes. Um, yeah. Welcome, Griffin.
How's it going, everybody?
Hey, this is Griffin. He was on the Brains Tribe. So right now we're on round one. You haven't missed much.
Okay, great.
So Beauty is at Tribal Council. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and you'd like to play it, now would be the time to do so. No one has an idol because they have not been placed in the game yet. So now I will read the votes. First vote, Roman. Ashton. Roman. Ashton. 2 votes Roman, 2 votes Ashton, 2 votes left. Roman. First person voted out of Survivor, Roman. And Jacqueline and Roman were shook. It was wild. So Wyatt did flip. I think I got a video of that. Yeah. Roman.
That's wild.
Ashton. 2 votes Roman, 2 votes Ashton. Roman. First person voted out of Survivor. Roman.
That's crazy.
Roman, bring your torch.
Okay.
That's like that was such a good tribal. Oh man. So I remember Jacqueline and Roman talking, like they literally talked at tribal council about being a married couple. Like they were that like tight of an alliance and they were so shocked afterwards. Yeah. Okay. Jacqueline or Abby, any thoughts on that?
I mean, it kind of just worked out how at least I planned it. So we kind of figured Roman was going to go home, but we just needed Wyatt to flip, and he did. So
We did. All right. Moving on to round 2. Brains, Griffin, we haven't had your perspective on this. So at round 2, without spoiling anything that happens for the rest of the game, at this point in the game, are there any like relationships forming or what's the vibe?
I would say the vibe was just Brains was all team Brains, you know. We were a little worried about who might have an advantage. I was a little worried about that at least, but you know, we were just focused on winning challenges at Brains at that point.
Sweet. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got too. There were not really any strong alliances forming. It was just like a unit, and when we lose, then we'll figure it out. Um, Ron, anything changed? I think it was pretty similar as the first round. Eduardo's still in the outs. I think we bullied him into leaving the call. Um, yeah. And then Beauty, pretty much the same thing. Wyatt and Jack are all that remains of the Vibes Alliance. But Wyatt is still kind of straddling the middle a little bit, but he's still pretty loyal to Jack. All right, so this is the second immunity challenge. It was where one person was directing blindfolded players to go retrieve puzzle pieces. They had to come back and solve the puzzle blind, and the puzzle was a solution, or the solution of the puzzle was a combination to a combination lockbox that one person would then unlock. I got a couple clips from that. Okay, yeah. Brains and Braun won immunity once again, sending Beauty back to tribal council. Um, Ashton was able to get her tribe's idol, and Eddie was also able to get his tribe's idol. Taylor, can you explain to me why you decided you didn't want the idol?
I'm not gonna lie, I had nowhere to put it
Mm,
after the challenge. And I think, like Griffin said, I just didn't feel like I needed it or like wanted to ruffle any feathers. Slash, I at this point, like I was kind of being like Jack, like I was just being dumb because I wanted to see where everybody was at with their gameplay. I was just there. So I didn't feel like I needed it.
gotcha. Yeah, that I have a I remember one of your confessionals when you were talking about it. You're like, yeah, I could get the idol this round, but do I even want an idol? I was like, normally the answer is yes, but interesting perspective. That's funny. Okay, I got a clip from it. This is great.
Hey, Wyatt, come on, boy! Wyatt, you're so far away from it. It's right in the front. All right, to the left.
That's great. I want to watch that again. Abby just
Wyatt, come on,
takes
boy!
out Jack.
Wyatt,
Jack, I'm so
you're far
sorry.
away from it. It's right in the front. All right, to the left.
Because they're both blindfolded. Like Jack had no idea that was coming. Oh, that was so good. Okay. So Beauty is once again on the chopping block. So Jacqueline and Abby, what's going on this time?
So me and Ashton are still working together. She told me that she got the clue and got the idol, but I think everyone was still kind of like wanting Ashton out, but like obviously I didn't want her to be voted out because I was working with her. And so we kind of had to figure out like a way to make Wyatt think that he was like on our side. And so basically we were telling Wyatt and telling Jacqueline that we were going to vote out Ashton. And then I, at the last second, was like, okay, Ashton, just like, we're going to vote for you, but play your idol, and then you can take out Jacqueline. Sorry, Jacqueline. But yeah, that was our plan. So we told everyone that we were voting for Ashton, and then she played her idol.
Jacqueline, what are your thoughts?
I thought for sure Ashton was on the chopping block. She was out of there. But this was but who knows, because kind of switched things up. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Cade was split, but I thought he was fully on our team if he had to choose. Because I feel like him and Wyatt had a lot of side conversations, but I think that Cade was kind of weighing like he probably, Abby and Ashton had more knowledge of the game and more like skilled towards like the game in general. So I think he was weighing his options at this point and, probably was leaning towards more Abby. But this round absolutely shocked me. Like this was like, what the heck? I had no clue what was happening again.
Yeah. So that's pretty accurate. So Cade was locked in with Abby and Ash in the first round, but then he started having second thoughts. He and Wyatt were getting along really well. He was bonding with Wyatt. And at this point, he did start to want Ashton out because he thought she would be a liability later on in the game. So there's a lot of conflict going on. Abby came up with this plan with Ashton to maybe use her idol to keep Wyatt thinking that he's on their side against Ashton. So we'll see what happens. So if anyone has a hidden immunity idol and you would like to play it, now would be the time to do so. Ashton stands up, chooses to play the hidden immunity idol that she just found on herself. So all votes for Ashton will not count. Ashton does not count. Ashton does not count. Ashton does not count. Ashton does not count. Second person voted out of Survivor, Jack. So Jack, what are your thoughts after this goes down?
Literally F. I was so pissed. I was like, dude, everyone voted for it. And of course, dude, Ashton did not want me in. She was like, we got to get Jack out. And then Cade figured out about the idol, which is why he turned. And I figured all this out later. But yeah, I was absolutely in shock. I was like, yeah, that's right. Forget Ashton out. And that's when I learned what an idol did. It literally took her out. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's what the idol does. So then, yeah, it was short lived.
Yeah, that's a tough way to find out what an idol is. All right. Sorry, Jacqueline. All right, round three. Brains. I don't think much has changed. Actually, one thing has changed. People are starting to talk about Bailey as kind of a leader. She has said multiple times she doesn't want to be seen as a leader, but in both of the challenge show so far, she's taken a leadership position. So any of the brains, do y'all have any comments on what's going on?
I think overall, like you said, not much has changed. I think Bailey might have been a little bit more vocal out of most of us, and I don't know if Taylor and Griffin can kind of give more input, but I think at this point, like we've kind of talked about, we are on the same page of like, hey, like we're a team, like we're the Brains tribe. We want to figure stuff out, and until we lose a challenge and have to vote someone out, we'll cross that bridge when it comes. Um, but yeah, I think that's. I mean, I didn't think Bailey was like too assertive where like, oh, she's like, I have to be a leader. But I guess it just kind of fell that way sometimes.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the Braun tribe. Again, not much has happened. It was actually tough editing these three episodes because I'm like, man, literally nothing ever changes on the Braun tribe. It's always Eduardo on the outs, and he just keeps digging his grave further and further and further. Yeah, the only thing that's changed is now Eddie has an idol. Any thoughts, Braun girls?
No, honestly.
I just remember thinking if we were gonna get to travel, we knew who was gonna go.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and yeah, I don't even know. Yeah. I keep sorry.
It's all good. Okay. Next, Beauty. So now we got Abby and Ashton are still in an alliance. They think they're with Cade. Wyatt thinks he's with everybody but Ashton because, in his perspective, because of Abby's plan, he thinks everyone just voted against Ashton, and so now they're just going to get her out easy next time. Abby, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that Wyatt was pretty upset about the challenge too because Ashton was like the one in charge who's like the leader, and he pretty much was like, I think I should have been the leader. I think we would have won. And so, but in order for Ashton to get the idol, she had to have been the leader of the challenge, and so she kind of took that role, and so Wyatt was pretty mad. And so we basically just me, Kate, and Wyatt kind of were like, oh yeah, well, I'll vote out Ashton, knowing that we were going to vote out Wyatt next time.
Yeah, that's a good point. That was a fun twist about the idol that I didn't mention earlier, is that in order to get the idol, the person who found the clue had to be the caller, and they had to direct one of their tribe mates to go retrieve the idol for them. So it was kind of a fun twist, making your teammates do the dirty work for you. Um, yeah, so that's it. Next community challenge, steal the bacon. This is one where there was a tire in the center, and you had to send up a representative from your tribe to try to pull the tire to your cone. This challenge was really difficult. The first round we did was between Josh, Caden, and Wyatt, and it lasted over 5 minutes. Josh, do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely by far, like thus far into the game, probably one of the most physical demanding challenges there were. And I mean, yeah, like we got to send up one person and you could kind of, I think, how did you preface the challenge, Ned? Was it like send up your strongest guy first and then it went strongest girl and then second strongest guy, then second strongest girl? And it was like whoever got 3 round wins first, essentially was going to get the immunity and everything. And
Mhm.
yeah, I guess did I say that right?
Yeah, yeah, you said that right.
So yeah, so it was a little bit of like who do we want to send up, who are we going to go against, kind of matching that up. Um, so I kind of volunteered as to be the first guy to go, and I mean I was definitely one of the smaller guys compared to Cade and Link and Wyatt, obviously. But I knew I was like, man, like I got to hold my own, and it's like like I'm not just gonna let Caden or someone walk away with it. And yeah, like I think a lot of people were at this point in the game, like we're kind of like maybe looking over me and just like, oh, like Josh, like whatever, like he's not that strong. But I think there were some surprises that were revealed in this challenge, and obviously, or I guess, can I talk about the result of the round?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't win this round. Caden ended up winning, but it took him 5 minutes to do so. And I wish he had the video, and I would tell him to his face too that he tried to trip me one time. I got close to the cone. I was like, "Bro, you tried to trip me," and you could see it on video, and it was so funny. But no, overall, I think the red team definitely, the Braun team really kind of represented their name just throughout this challenge specifically because yeah, they were physically strong and it showed.
Yeah, that's true. Theo, I remember you had a couple like really good wins on this challenge, and Autumn had a broken ankle at the time, so I think she set out.
Yeah, I won mine, and honestly, it was because I was faster than everybody else. It wasn't even about I wasn't ripping a tire like Caden and Josh. But there's just so much adrenaline going because Josh and Caden went first. And so I saw that struggle and I saw that fear just creep into my body. And I was like, the only way I'm going to win this is if I am the fastest. And I just booked it to the tire. And I don't even know who else was against me.
Lizzie or Abby?
Yeah, I don't know. Was it Abby?
It was me.
It was Taylor. So Taylor's gonna this, but I was just so scared that I ran for it, and I don't know what Taylor was feeling or thinking then, but
That you were really fast. I was like, where's the tire go?
yeah, didn't want a 5 minute journey. So
Yeah, sweet. So the challenge progressed. It was fairly even, but that first round actually, I think, kind of decided the game, because Wyatt was so gassed from that first challenge. Like, I don't know why it took it out of him so much. Like he was down for the count. Like obviously, it was very physically exhausting. Like Josh and Caden were also super exhausted. But Wyatt, like, I was afraid he was going to have to be pulled from the game just because he was like taking such a toll on him. So the next time it came up for the the strongest guys to go again, Wyatt just chose to set out, and Josh was gracious enough to let Cade, who was the weaker guy on the Beauty Tribe, go up against him. And so the The Beauties ended up losing this challenge again. This is the third challenge in a row that the Beauties have lost. So knocked the morale for sure. I think I got a video from the challenge. I
This is
think
no.
yes.
Ashton pulling hard. Taylor's pulling.
Taylor, do you want to talk about this?
No. I was not. Yeah, I'm just not strong. Ashton had it from the beginning.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the highlights from the challenge for me. All right. Yep. So Beauty is back at camp. Wyatt thinks it's going to be 3 votes on Ashton. Cade is debating going with Abby and Ashton or siding with Wyatt and sending it to Rocks. And then Abby and Ashton think it's going to be a 3-on-1 against Wyatt. So Abby, tell me what's going on in your head.
Yeah, pretty much if it was me, Ashton, Kate talking, we're like, yeah, we're voting out Wyatt. If Ashton was not in the conversation, we were telling Wyatt we were voting out Ashton. And yeah, I had literally no idea that Cade was thinking about flipping. I didn't think that was even like an option. I didn't think he'd ever want to go to Rocks that early. Like, that's pretty crazy. So yeah, I thought it was just like going to be a pretty solid, straightforward 3 votes for Wyatt.
Yeah. It was super interesting. Cade was really, really struggling with this decision. He was thinking about, I think he had just formed such a good bond with Wyatt that he was considering dropping y'all for Wyatt. So this is the round where this video is from you and Ashton are talking about Cade, oblivious to the fact that he was very close to flipping on y'all last round.
Be heartbroken if Cade screws me over.
I know, I will too, but I think he's too like timid at this point to screw us.
He is gonna be a fan favorite. He's precious.
This time, I'm kind of thinking Ashton, and she just told me she has the idol. I kind of want her out this round.
If he screws me up, I'm gonna literally cry. Like, I took that personally.
Yeah, so that was Cade was playing a little bit. Welcome, Lizzie. Lizzie, do you want to briefly introduce yourself?
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm Lizzie. I was on the Brains tribe. I don't know what else am I supposed to say.
What do you do for work? Where are you from?
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm from Chicago suburbs. I am a consultant for a supply chain software company.
Sweet. Cool. All right. Now we're at Tribal Council, 3rd time in a row for the Beauties. Nobody has an immediate idol at this point, so let's get to the votes. First vote, Ashton. Second vote, Wyatt. Wyatt. Third person voter as survivor, Wyatt. Rip Wyatt, after he gave all that effort in the immunity challenge and almost got medically evacuated for it, they just turned around and stabbed him in the back. So sad. All right. Now we're on to round 4. So now things are getting a little more interesting on the Brains tribe. Kind of drew up this schematic. At this point in the game, Taylor is kind of in the center of the tribe. She and Griffin have a very tight alliance. She and Josh also have a very tight alliance. Josh is bonding with Steven too. Bailey's kind of on the outs, and Lizzie, while she's not in a major alliance, I think she has good connections with everyone. So do y'all in the Brains tribe want to kind of clarify any of these relationships?
I think that we were all happy that Bailey was there, so we had someone to vote out first that wasn't us. And we came together and bonded in that way.
Nice. Anyone else?
I feel like this is pretty accurate. I also would chat with Lizzie.
Yes.
But yeah, I think this is good. I would agree with Griffin.
I thought that Lizzie and Taylor were like the tightest too, honestly, at the beginning.
Okay, that's a good correction. That's why I have y'all here. You have insight that I didn't have when I was making this. And I think Lizzie would also attest to that she and Taylor were close.
Yeah, we would have voting decisions. We would go
Yeah,
off chat.
we would go off like before the end of the vote and be like, okay, like this is what we're like, or we talk before at the end after. We talk before we talk to everyone else, and we talk afterwards to like double check
Lizzie and
everything.
I could also just give a side eye to each other and know, like, okay, we haven't changed, we haven't flipped.
Sweet. So you heard it from the horse's mouth. Taylor is the center of the tribe. She has connections with everyone except for Bailey, pretty much.
Lizzie was the only one I told that I had the clue.
Okay, good to know. Okay.
That was like within seconds.
Yeah. I didn't tell the boys.
Wow. So Taylor had 3 different number 1 alliances.
No.
That's what it sounds like to me.
No. Josh and I actually never spoke about being aligned.
But you did talk about each other in confessionals. And the last thing I actually edited before the hard drive went corrupt was a showman's edit between the two of y'all. Because you were both talking about liking each other. This is before y'all started dating. Yeah, for the audience. You want to talk about that?
No. Josh.
Guys, Taylor's my girlfriend.
That's a real Survivor showmance right there.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Ned, I feel like your Survivor's getting really good at these showmans.
It's not the first.
Taylor is my former teammate and now girlfriend.
Yes. That is
Moral
true.
of the story, Griffin, I don't think either of our number 1s with Taylor were real.
Right. Yeah, we were always I mean, I knew I could trust Josh to an extent, but we were always, on the outside looking in.
Can't beat a crush.
But Ned, are we at the point where post challenge or no?
No, this is still before it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Now moving on to the bronze. Something interesting has happened. We don't have any of the guys here to talk about it, but that's where the change happened. After the tug of war challenge, Eduardo kind of proved himself. He did well in a challenge. He did really bad in the first 2, but he did really well in the third. And so Caden and Eddie decided he might be an asset to keep around. Theo and Autumn, at this point in time, were y'all aware that this was happening, or did you still think Eduardo was on the outs?
No, we knew what was happening. I'm pretty sure that
I didn't.
How do you not? I feel like we did know that because we were like, oh, it's so easy. We were all friends with the guys and we're just vote out Eduardo or something if that ever happens. And then all of a sudden now Eduardo shows up and now they're all buddy with Eduardo. Do you remember that? And we were like, what the heck? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, because I think then it started going girls versus boys.
Yeah, because we were like, wait, now what has to happen? Because now, like, this dynamic is changing. Who do we vote out? Who do we not vote out? What's important and all this stuff. And then
it was so easy before.
It was easy. Now it's difficult. So then our lips are sealed after this. So that's what was going on.
Sweet. Beauty. Now it is down to the trio. The Vibes trio is officially dead. Vibes or die. The answer was die. Now you'll only have Abby, Ashton, and Cade left. So Abby, what would you have done at this point in time if you were to lose the next challenge? What would happen?
I actually have no idea because I kind of told Ashton and Cade separately that I would have gone with them like to the next round, like 2 against 1. And so that actually would have been a really tough decision. Probably, I think if it came down to it, I probably would have stuck with Ashton just because I trusted her more than than Cade. But yeah, I don't know. We were just literally begging not to lose. We also didn't know if you were gonna like split us up and like just dissipate the tribes and like get rid of us completely. So that was also on our brains. But
gotcha. All right, next challenge. This one was fun. So basically, players had to dive into a pool, read an underwater message. It was on a board. It was scrambled letters. They had to come back up and unscramble the message, and whoever tribe came up with the correct answer first, won immunity. 2 tribes lost. So, Abby, do you want to describe how this challenge went?
Yeah, so Cade had recently gotten a tattoo. So he was like, I literally can't get in the water. And so our strategy was Cade was going to be like out. He just had to like dip his foot in the pool and then get out. And me and Ashton like dove down, and there was like the letters. It had like the separation of words. So we knew like all the different words, but it was just all letters were unscrambled. So we kind of just were like, okay, I'll memorize like this many, you'll memorize these. And I ended up just like writing all the letters down, like I like scratched them into my leg. And so we had some of them like not how to memorize them. Anyway, so then yeah, Cade was basically just like working on unscrambling them as we were diving down to see them. But
Yes. So, in an amazing upset, the Beauty tribe actually won. The one challenge where there's only one winner, Beauty actually won. So that was just an incredible high for them. The video was so fun. I wish y'all could see it. Now, at the Braun camp, things are tough because it would have been an easy Eduardo out, but now the guys like Eduardo. So at this point in time, it's up in the air. Let me see.
Recording in progress.
Oops. Sorry about that. Are Autumn and Theo still on?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay, sweet. Y'all just disappeared from my window, so I wasn't sure who all was here. Cool. Yeah, so Autumn and Theo, what happens this round? Before tribal, what's the strategy?
So yeah, Theo could talk to this because I was not in this strategy.
Well, basically, I think I was out I didn't even do anything. No, yeah, I was out. I didn't even do anything. I didn't even know what was going on. We lost miserably.
You knew what everyone was talking about. Like who was voting who.
Oh, yeah, but I was talking about the game. But so it was like we lost miserably. We were just down. And so I think at that point, personally, I was appealing to the boys because they were really strong and opinionated on what they wanted. So to me, I was like, okay, go with what the boys wanted. And they're like, vote out Paige. And I was like, whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, vote out Paige as long as it ain't me. Because I knew that I wasn't going to turn Cade and Eddie, and they were not going to vote out their newfound love for Eduardo. I think what happened there was they started sharing testimonies. So that is what happened.
The bond of Jesus
The bond of Jesus Christ.
Can't tie.
No, like legitimately, they were all in like the trough. We were all in the trough talking to each other, and all of a sudden they just started talking about their testimonies. I said, what the heck is happening? Like, no shot. Now it's like an unbreakable brotherhood bond. So I'm just like, okay, Eduardo can't be voted out. So who is the next one to go? Paige, of course. So we just, we thought about it, but Autumn over here said,
yeah, no one kept me in the loop. I just started hearing some hush hush over there, and I was like, what's going on? This is sus. And Paige was like, something's going on. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm out of the loop. And she was like, I think that they're going to vote me out. And I was like, why? I thought this whole time Paige knew the game and knew how to play. I thought she was an asset. So I didn't really know what was going on. I just I think I talked to Kaden or Eddie, one of them, and they reassured me that it wasn't me. So I was like, okay, well then it's fine. But
Nice. Here's a video.
We got the immunity idol from the second challenge, and I think I have to watch my back. So we're trying to flip Theo to get her to vote Paige.
Literally, her thing in the video, and we sent in the entrance there, what's your tactic? She said, backstab everybody.
I love that.
There's no girl coming to Survivor.
They gotta think, bro. Who's gonna carry the boats the rest of the round?
People are trying to turn on people, basically. It's about to go down tonight at Tribal, and I don't think they know. Am I allowed to let you guys in on all the secret? What we got going on here in the pot? We got an immunity idol that they found. Looking at Eddie's keeping in his pocket. Let's keep that in mind. What else we got? We got the girls trying to form in the lines, and we got the guys trying to form in the lines. And at the beginning, Eduardo was going to get voted out easy. Then what happened? Eduardo started pulling his weight. And then they started having some conversation, some emotional conversations the guys started having them. And I said, oh no, here comes the turn. Eddie pulls me aside and says, hey, there's been somebody that's not been pulling their weight. Can you vote her out? Can you turn? And I said, yeah. I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. You know why? Because as soon as I get a girl voted out, guess who's gonna start getting picked off one by one? The girls. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna say, yeah. We're voting out Eddie, blindsiding him. When he has the idol in his pocket, it's gonna be insane because they think he can't vote out the idol. This man's gonna go home with an idol in his pocket. And that's it.
That was the greatest. Oh man. I want to hear you talk about that, Theo.
I mean, I feel like I said it for myself. The whole entire time when we recorded this, it's just so bummed.
She's drama.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just watching it unfold before my eyes. I'm just like, no way, no shot. Eduardo's gonna be voted out because they had an emotional conversation. And so, of course, I was just gonna. You gotta play the game of Survivor, and there's times when you push, and there's times when you just submit. And these were one of those times where you submit. Like, I knew Eddie and Caden were good for challenges. They knew their worth and they knew their weight. And I was like, okay, let's just submit to what they want and they do. And then you just take them out later.
At the cost of your friend Paige.
It's a game. It was my friend Paige, but at the moment, she had to go. And she was an easy one to go. So
yeah, at this point, there's the guys playing, they're trying to flip Theo. But the girls form a counter plan. They're trying to target Eddie and hopefully flush his idol with him. Now at the Brains camp, sorry, Lizzie, you also have a line to Taylor. So pretty cut and dry. I kind of talked about the strategy earlier. It sounds like everyone is forming bonds, but Bailey's kind of on the outs. She's just not meshing with everyone as well. Any additional thoughts? Any Brains? Oh yeah, thanks, Josh.
I don't even remember who we lied and told her we were voting for instead of her. I think it was cut
I
and
believe
dry.
it
I
was
don't even.
I
Was it
believe it was
Steven?
Steven. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I just remember it being like everybody was kind of like feeling each other out still, and it wasn't like nobody was like super vocal or going to be super loud about putting someone's name down. But kind of after, like, at this point, we've done 3 challenges as a team. We kind of are feeling out what everybody's capable of, and I think I think a couple of people, I don't know who vocalized it first, but somebody mentioned Bailey, and I think that was kind of the consensus.
All right, let's get to tribal. So now this is Braun. Josh, can you erase your thing? I don't know how to get rid of it. Thanks. Okay, now we're at tribal. Nobody has an idol because Taylor chose not to get an idol. No one stands. I'll read the votes. First vote. Oh, we're at Braun. Okay, so Eddie does have an idol. He doesn't play it. First vote, Eddie. Second vote, Paige. Third vote, Eddie. Fourth vote, Paige. Fifth vote, Eddie. Or Paige. Fourth person voted as survivor, Paige. Womp womp. So Theo flipped on her girls and voted out Paige. Blindside. Savage. Now to the Brains tribe. No one has an idol because Taylor chose not to have an idol, so no one stands. First vote, Steven. Second vote, Bailey. Third vote, Bailey. Fourth vote, Bailey. Fifth person voted as survivor, Bailey. So sad. Sweet Bailey. So now Bailey is out unanimously. She voted for Steven, the resident father of the tribe. On to round 5. So as it stacks up with the Brains, Lizzie again has an invisible line connecting her to Taylor. They're number ones. Taylor's number ones with everybody. On the Braun tribe, now it's Autumn on an island. She was blindsided by his last vote. Theo's in with the boys. But it was also with Autumn. Eddie still has his idol. So now it's time to. Oh yeah, beauty is beauty. Time to drop your buffs. There are now 2 new tribes of 6. We're gonna randomly draw, and the person who doesn't draw um, one of the 2 color buffs gets sent to exile. So new tribes, we got Griffin, Taylor, Lizzie, and Steven, all from the Brains tribe, with Eddie and Cade on the new Saku tribe. And then we got Theo, Caden, and Eduardo, and then Abby and Ashton from Beauty, and then Josh is the lone brain on the new Hatinu tribe. Josh, what's the vibe? You're all alone.
Dude, I don't know. I remember looking across and just seeing that everybody else on my team was still on the team and I was by myself with, yeah, a bunch of people who are like, have proven themselves thus far at the game. So I was definitely a little nervous, but knew I could probably like talk my way into just not getting voted out first. And I think that was kind of the goal, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll
definitely
see what
nervous.
happens. Definitely. Autumn, what's your feeling? You drew a red buff, and there's no red tribe.
Yeah, I was kind of exiled. I haven't really watched the game, so I didn't really know what was going on, but I was like, I don't know. I just like didn't know what to expect. At first I thought it was bad, and then I started to realize I think it's actually a really good thing. So yeah.
Sweet. So yeah, now Autumn is exiled. She got a hidden immunity idol for being exiled, but it expires after her next 2 tribal councils. She has the option to bet on the next immunity challenge, and if she bets the winner correctly, then her idol will be extended to last till 3 tribal councils. So, Autumn, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I again didn't really know the strategy. I was like, I don't think I'm if I don't know. I didn't really think I would have any reason to use it. I hadn't really been strategizing with anyone. I felt like I had good alliances and no one would have voted me out. So I was like, I don't really know what I'm going to do with this, but just keep it in my back pocket. And I didn't tell anybody. I was just keeping it to myself.
Yeah. So, Autumn, I remember I was the one doing your confessional in when you were at exile. And I was like, this is perfect. She just was left out of the last vote. Now she gets an idol. I'm like, she's gonna be furious at the bronze and she's gonna like flip on them, make a big move. But I was like, so like you gotta be mad at them, right? And you're like, no, like they did what they had to do. Like it's okay.
I was like, it's okay. It wasn't me. No one came out for me. I was like, I think I still trust them. I don't really know though. So
Yeah, that's so funny. You're just too peaceful. I was trying to get some animosity out of you, but it wasn't
straight
coming.
vibes. I was straight vibes. I was on Jack's wavelength. I wasn't trying to die. I was vibes.
Facts. All right. So first immunity challenge as your new swapped tribes. This one was a fun one. So you have to use you have ropes that are attached to a rubber band, and you have to use those rubber bands to lift pool balls, take them to an end zone, and then use those pool balls to navigate them through a table maze. Um, Little known fact, but Steven on the Brains tribe, Steven from the old Brains tribe, the new Saku tribe, threw this challenge. I don't know if anyone realized that, but that's what happened. Um, so yeah, so Kuka won immunity from that.
Wait, what do you mean he threw the challenge?
He was on the table maze with Griffin, I believe. So Griffin, do you want to talk about that? Because I think you kind of picked up on the fact that he was throwing the challenge. He was trying to lose. I don't know if Griffin's still here.
I can actually attest to this. I think we threw the challenge to keep Josh safe, and we were gonna vote out Eddie or Cade because it made no sense for the other tribe to win because we thought they were gonna vote out Josh first since he was the only one. So like Brains as a whole was like, let's just throw the challenge and get rid of Eddie or Cade.
Sweet. Thanks for the insight. That's good to know. Yes, I do believe that's what happened. So y'all through the challenge. Eddie and Cade are on the outs. Um, can anyone see, is Griffin still here?
I think he's just muted.
Okay. Well, anyway, Griffin and Cade had kind of a side alliance going on. Um, so if you were here, I would have him talk about that. But so this is kind of where things are standing. There's the four brains, and then there's Eddie and Cade who are kind of forced together because they're not brains. And then Griffin and Cade have a thing going on. So if anyone has a hidden immunity and you'd like to play it, now would be the time to do so. Eddie stands and plays it on Cade. Taylor, or Lizzie or Griffin, do y'all have it, like, were y'all part of this plan to get Eddie to play for Cade?
Eddie told us he was gonna play it, right? Like,
yeah, Eddie
he
literally
told us from the
guns
beginning.
blazing and was like, I have an idol, I'm gonna play it. You're not gonna know who I'm gonna play it on. He was like, I can play it for Cade, I can play it for Eddie. And then I think never mind. He just came in guns blazing, and I was like, this man's gotta go. He's annoying me.
Yeah, so Eddie plays idol for Cade. Any votes for Cade will not count. First vote, Cade does not count. Cade does not count. Griffin. Griffin. That's 2 votes, Griffin.
At this point, I'm like, oh shit, I'm gone.
Yeah, then Eddie.
Yeah.
Eddie,
Well, 'cause
we have a tie. Yeah,
we
what
mathed
was
it
it?
out, right? That's why, because he was like, "Oh, I'll play it for Kate or I'll play it for me." We're like, "Okay, then we'll just split the votes.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you guys can do is tie us, and then we'll just take the revote."
Yeah.
Yeah, we were prepared for that. I was just thankful and Taylor had my back, or I would have been so screwed.
So, Griffin, talk to me because you kind of had like a bit of an alliance with Cade. You said, I'll keep you safe if you keep me safe. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I was just like taken back when he was kind of coming for me because I thought we were going to be cool. But then I just had to, immediately adjust and just be like, all right, well, I'm going for Cade and Eddie now because, Cade just started coming for me out of nowhere.
Yeah. So we will revote. You can only vote for Griffin and Eddie, and Griffin and Eddie may not vote. Griffin, are you chilling at this point, or are you scared that people are going to flip on you?
I think I was chilling because like I turned around, I remember and like asked Lizzie, like kind of gave her like the, am I good? Like, and she was like, yeah, you're good. Like, we had the plan mapped out. So the fact that they stuck to it, like it was just worked out great.
Sweet. So first vote, Griffin, Eddie, Eddie. 6th person voted out, Eddie. So I remember this was a big deal for you, Griffin, because you and Cade had kind of a little alliance going. He voted for you the first time. You're like, okay, whatever. Like he had to do that with Eddie, but then he voted for you again on the revote for essentially no reason. So what was your thought process after that?
I mean, I don't know. Cade was such a likable kid that I still wanted to like be like, oh, can I give you another chance here? Like, why are you still coming for me? But it was surprising when he just stuck to it because I was like, oh, that's not very good, like damage control on his part. But then after that, we'll see. He's still stuck to it. So
Sweet. Okay, next round. So here are the current standings. We got the 4 brains, Cade on his own, and then we got Autumn who replaced Eddie. She bet correctly on the immunity challenge, so now her idol will last 3 rounds. Then on the other side, we got the 3 bronze in alliance, the 2 beauties in alliance, and Josh kind of on an island. Next round, this was an interesting round. It was an individual immunity round. You had to hold 2 halves of a vase. They were filled with water. You had to hold it above your head as it was dripping water. So the last person on each tribe standing with water in their vase won immunity. The person who lasted longest overall, their tribe, whoever was voted out, earned a spot in the jury. The other tribe, they did not. So Lizzie and Abby, y'all ended up winning this tribe for your or challenge for your tribes. Do y'all have anything to talk about?
Honestly, not really. I mean, the challenge was pretty straightforward. I just remember that we were all like getting soaking wet and we just were not having a good time. But I remember also when the challenge started, someone poured water into my thing and like spilled half of it. And so I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna lose because I had like not as much water as everyone else. But ended up being okay, I guess. But yeah.
The Betty. That was honestly a really hard challenge, even though I wasn't one of the winners. It was insane how, like, I don't even know how you guys did it, honestly. But the fact that you had a half of it left and you still won was insane.
Yeah, this one was a tough one. All right. Lizzie and Abby both won. Abby lasted longer, so the person voted off of Kuka will be the first member of the jury. So back at the Saku camp, anyone have any comments on what the dynamics are? It looks like it's probably going to be either Kate or Autumn. So how do you talk about or which one?
I remember Autumn gave a great pitch. She really sold herself because it was up in the air, and the four brains were sticking together, and I probably could have went either way. I feel like all of us were open, but then Autumn just, was basically really friendly, and we took her in.
Yeah, Autumn kind of sold herself as like, hey, I was left out. I'm Braun, like, I have no loyalty. I'm not going to go back to them. Where I think like Cade doubling down on his Griffin vote, we're like, okay, so like he has no reason or loyalty to even want to switch to be loyal to us. And Autumn was like, I'm here. Hi, guys.
Yeah, I do remember I had to go to each of y'all individually and be like, can we talk? Come on, let's talk. Let's talk. And y'all's main thing was like, I feel like you guys have an alliance, or do you have an alliance with your group, Bronze, or like, are you willing to like explore other tribes, and I was, yeah, I convinced y'all, which I really didn't at that point have any reason to have alliances to them. Honestly, I was at this point, I wasn't like super loyal to anyone. I was just kind of getting through. So
Sweet. Now at the Kuka camp, Abby, Josh, Theo, any thoughts on how this went down? What was happening? Josh seems like the obvious one out.
I don't even remember. I was well at that point. The Bronze still had the numbers, I think. So it was like where whoever we vote out gets voted out. I don't think I was even feeling anything, or I didn't even need to strategize at this point. Like I was just chilling. So it was like we have the numbers and we can switch somebody over, like whatever.
I think from my perspective, I was like, obviously, I'm going to continue to work with Ashton. I was trying to like figure out what the heck was going on at the Brain Tribe. So I was like trying to talk to Josh and be like, what's the vibe at that camp? But he was giving me literally nothing. And so I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. But I think we all kind of were just like trying to pick someone easy to get off. And so I think like I was pretty set on voting out Eduardo, but yeah, there wasn't much like strategizing at this point, I don't think.
Yeah, from my perspective, kind of the new team dynamic, I don't think all of us were looking back like, oh, what if we merge back? Like, I think it was like, okay, this is the new group. Let's find our new kind of stride with these group of people, with this group of people. And I think that's kind of where my thought process was.
Sweet. So yeah, at this point, it's kind of between Josh and Eduardo. Josh is the odd one out. He's an easy boot for everyone to unify around. Eduardo starts complaining about being hungry. Um, so people are like, should we just mercy kill him? So now this is tribal for Saku. If anyone has a hidden Yuha, you'd like to play it, now would be the time to do so. No one stands. First vote, Cade. Autumn. Cade. Next person voted out, Cade. So everyone voted against Cade. Cade voted for Autumn. Now let's go to the Kuka tribal. If anyone has a hidden immunity and you'd like to play it, now would be the time to do so. No one stands. First vote, Josh. Eduardo. 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 Next person voted out, Eduardo.
Wait, Eddie
Edward.
Did he vote for me the first time though?
No, he voted for himself. And I like went up to look at all the votes, and Madeline was like, "Yeah, Eduardo voted for himself." I'm like, "You can't do that." And so I had to yell, like, "Eddie, come on!" And he had to run back, and he just voted for whoever in the moment. So he was just done. He just wanted food, and unfortunately for him, the merge feast was immediately after. So he really played himself there. But Eduardo is on the jury. So drop your buffs. We are merged in an insane feat. We have 5 brains in the merge, 3 bronze, 2 beauties. From my perspective, when the game was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, like someone vote out of brains. Like read the writing on the wall. Like they're about to be half of the merge tribe. And they were. Um, so first immunity challenge. This one I loved. Um, so the first 6 players to find a pool ball in the grass moved on to second phase of the challenge. Then they had to toss the pool ball into a small bucket. First 3 people to move on to that one moved on to a blindfold maze where you have to move a peg through a maze. Taylor, do you want to talk about this challenge?
I felt dumb the entire time. Finding the pool ball. I'm pretty sure the one I found was green. Lord, thank you. And then the throwing it into the actual bucket. I can't tell you how many times I thought I was going to split the pool ball from hitting the concrete. And then the peg challenge, it's this pegboard, and you have to maze your way through it. And everyone's talking like, oh, wait, who were the other people? Was Theo with Abby?
I don't remember.
But the other people, they were like, oh my gosh, y'all are so
I
close.
think it might have been me and Theo because we were both like, they were like, Taylor's at the beginning, you guys are at the end, like you're almost there.
They were like, y'all are almost done. And I was still in the same spot. And then I somehow clicked it out of like one corner that I was in the whole time and then just um figured it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, that was a feat to watch. It literally, like, you did not move from the start for like 10 minutes. And Lizzie and Theo are literally like at the end, just like wiggling around, can't find the last thing. And then in 5 seconds, Taylor, all of a sudden, it's like you had x-ray vision. You're like, and it's out. Oh my God. It's amazing.
Thank
So
you.
Taylor won immunity. Now we're back in the merge camp. So here's my perspective on what the dynamics are like. You got the brains, you got the bronze, you got the beauties. There is an alliance between Josh and Caden. They're vibing pretty hard. And then there's a girls' alliance that forms. There's 6 girls, 4 guys. So does anyone have any comments on these dynamics at all before we get to tribal?
Girls got to do what a girl's got to do, and when the numbers was numbering, we had to do that.
We always wanted to keep more girls than guys. That was an early strategy.
Yeah, which is really random. Like that's not very strategic at all. It just was what it was.
I think this is pretty accurate. And then also, I think you made a pretty, I think, good point earlier in the last challenge, Ned, that the person voted out right before the merge was going to be on the jury and like was the first person on the jury. So like I think that was kind of a good thing to keep in mind too. Like, oh wow, like Eduardo's on the jury.
Definitely. Yeah, so who are the potential targets going into this round?
Well, I think the girls wanted to stay strong, and so we were kind of looking at like the strong guys and being like, okay, who like going forward? It's now all individual immunity. Like, who do we think is gonna probably like win a lot of individual immunity challenges? And so definitely like Caden came to mind, and probably Josh too. But yeah, I think that's what I remember.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if Taylor remembers it the same, but I know the two of us were like, if they want to go for a guy, Caden's our best bet because that keeps our brain tribe whole, and like then we don't have to go against that, and it also keeps this new all girl alliance. So like we're like, okay, that's easy. That's kind of the one person that there's like no connection with at all.
Yeah, I think Lizzie and I were definitely being like, well, Caden's not our boy, so let's get rid of him. Let's throw his name out there. He's big and strong. So yeah, we were trying to keep our boys safe when we were chatting with the girls.
Sweet. But there was a thorn in this Girls Alliance side, in being named Ashton. So what was kind of the dynamic? There was a lot of tension in the tribe around Ashton.
I think we all wanted Ashton out just out of the fact we wanted her to stop talking, but we needed her. We needed a number.
He was just a wild card.
Yeah.
Well, Ashton was so gung ho about voting Theo out. Like she was just like, Theo eavesdropped on me. Like I can't trust her. I can't work with her. And we're all like, girl, like it's the name of the game. Like you gotta eavesdrop on people. You gotta try to figure it out. So yeah, she was just like not wanting to keep Theo around.
She wanted to break like the Girls Alliance before it even started. We're like, no, Girls Alliance. She's like, but Theo.
And then I started hearing that. And then I think, Autumn started standing up for me. I think I was like, hey Theo, your name's been dragged. Ashton's trying to get you out. And I said, oh no, damage control time. I had to start yapping.
All right, let's get to tribal. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and you'd like to play it, now would be the time to do so. I believe Autumn is the only one who has one at the moment. No one stands. First vote, Caden. Ashton. Caden. Ashton. 2 votes Ashton, 1 vote Caden. 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 Next person voted out Survivor, Caden. That's enough. So everyone voted for Caden except for Josh. Josh, can you explain why?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think too many people approached me and said like, hey, Caden's gonna be the one, because they knew like I was a little bit closer with Caden. So like I was genuinely pretty shocked when I was like, wow, everybody voted for Caden except for me. And I remember even Ashton saying something right after that and was like, come on, Josh, like what the heck? And I was like, I didn't know. But
Yeah, sweet. So now we're going to go back to camp. Dynamics are pretty much the same. This is the last round. Autumn can use her idol if she wants to. And Josh was left out of the last vote, so that kind of puts him in a question position. Is he on the outs now? So next round is touchy subjects. So this is a Survivor Classic. Everyone answers questions about their tribe mates in private, and then I ask those questions out loud, and you have to guess who got the majority answer. Though I like to do it where 2 people can win immunity. So if you get a question correct, you get to eliminate the life from another player, and everyone has 3 lives. So last person with a life standing was immunity, but also the person who answers the most questions correctly, because that way you can't just pick off the people in the minority alliance. They could still win immunity. So the 2 people who won this challenge were Taylor. She was the last player standing, which meant she had lives left, no one else did. And then Ashton ended up answering the most questions correctly, and she also won immunity. So here are all the answers to touchy subjects. I'll just read them because they're fun. Who do you trust the most? Taylor and Griffin tied. Who would you most want to be stranded with on an island? People said Josh. Who do you most be friends with after the game? People said Taylor. Who do you not want to see again after the game? People said Ashton. Who is most likely to backstab you? Ashton. Who shouldn't still be here? Ashton. Who is too much of a follower? Lizzie and Autumn both got that. Who has no shot of winning the game? Lizzie. Not really sure why. Who thinks they're running the game? Abby and Griffin. Who's actually running the game? Abby. Who do you want out next? Josh and Ashton tied. Who do you want to win? Taylor. Who's actually going to win? Abby. So what you can get from this, everyone loved Taylor. People did not love Ashton so far. Who needs a major wake-up call? Josh. Probably after being left out of the last vote. Who needs to make a big move? Ashton. Well, she wants to take out Theo. I feel like that's a pretty big move. Who needs to take a chill pill? Also Ashton. Who has clearly never seen Survivor before? Autumn. Who will win against everyone in the end? Abby. Who will lose against everyone in the end? Ashton. Who is the best at keeping secrets? Both Ashton and Taylor. Once again, I'm not sure how Ashton got this because she's going around telling everyone she wants Theo out. Who's the worst at keeping secrets? Autumn and Ashton. So Ashton's the best and worst at keeping secrets somehow. Who has made the most questionable decisions? Ashton and Josh. Who was placed in the wrong tribe? Josh. Josh, that's tough to hear. People said you shouldn't be on the brains tribe. Who has exceeded your expectations? Taylor. Who has disappointed you the most? Josh. So I kind of want to hear from both Josh and Taylor. Y'all got a lot of answers for that.
Josh, you can go first.
What was the question?
Just what are your thoughts? You were called most disappointing, not a brain, needs a major wake up call.
Hey, but he
Yeah,
got stranded island. Everyone wanted to be on a stranded island with Josh.
yeah,
That's
everybody
true.
wanted to be on a stranded island with me, but was also very disappointed with me, and thinks I make questionable decisions. I don't know how that adds up, but no, I think genuinely when they say like placed on the wrong tribe, I think after the kind of tug of war challenge or steal the bacon challenge, I think everybody was like, whoa, like Josh, like Josh is maybe a little stronger than he lets off. But also, like thus far in the game, I hadn't won a immunity like individual yet or like at all. So it was just, I think that was, I was just kind of the obvious answer.
That's a fair point. Yeah. Taylor, how do you feel about being everyone's favorite person?
Honestly, it was really sweet because I feel like I had actually like made genuine connections with some of the people I hadn't known, or just at the merge, like got to chat with them. And I think like teaming up with Griffin, like having conversations with him, like I really liked him. Steven was really sweet. Like I think just when I had conversations, they were all genuine. Um, and it was nice that like this challenge was really hard. I think I cried the whole time because I did not like putting people's names down for the hard ones, especially like when you're friends with them. It was just tough. And I think I had like a pit in my stomach. But it was nice that people thought I was nice.
Yeah, always a good feeling. So now, Ashton and Taylor both have immunity. Autumn has an idol, and Abby, you also have an idol. Tell me about how that happened.
Yeah, so we all went back to camp and there's like a lot of us at this point. And I just kind of figured that it would be hidden somewhere around camp. And so I was kind of just trying to like walk around and like casually look, but like not make a scene about it. And it was like right before we were going to the next tribal, I like saw it hidden and there was like a big stack of logs and I kind of just like looked, I was like, oh, I see it. And so then I was like, I told Ashton, I was like, I see the clue. She's like, it's yours. Like, we gotta like make sure one of us gets it. And then right as we're like walking to tribal, I bend down to like go get it, and like Griffin turns around and like locks eyes with me, and I was like, ah, crap, because at this point I hadn't even like talked to Griffin. I didn't know any of the brains, and so I was like, well, now I have to like tell Griffin. He like comes right up to me. He's like, we can like open that together later. And I was like, ah, shoot, like, okay, I guess like this guy has to know about this idol. But yeah, it was total like one off. I just, yeah. And then we opened it later. But
Yeah, Griffin, do you remember that? You remember seeing Abby find it? He might be gone. Okay. So anyone, open floor, what's the strategy going on this round? Who are the targets? What are people talking about? I assume Ashton is still probably going after Theo for whatever reason.
I think the game kind of really exposed Abby and Taylor as everyone was like, okay, maybe we actually need to watch them. And I think because then people started talking about Abby a lot more. Like, I don't think Abby's name had been mentioned at all, at least not to me, like at all before that. Because I think people were like, oh, we could go easy again and go Ashton. And I think I came back from a confessional and Taylor looked at me, she goes, plans change, we're blindsiding Abby. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think Abby started saying my name. So I said bye.
That was it,
Well,
wasn't
I think
it?
after
Drama
the
City.
Drama.
Drama City, it was happening.
It's when
Who
it
was
started stirring up the Taylor versus Abby. This is
Oh
when
my
it
gosh,
started.
Yes.
Yeah.
it was down there in that ramp when we were all talking
Mhm.
about
I think that was after this vote though, wasn't it?
Yeah, because this vote, I still thought I was working with like Taylor and Autumn trying to get to the end. And after that challenge, I had like literally no idea anyone thought that I was like trying to win the game. Like that was like such a shock to me. And I also didn't know that people thought Taylor was like the front runner because no one, like Josh gave me no information about the brains whatsoever. And so I had no idea that like Taylor was in the running, and I had no idea that people thought that about me. And then I just was like, the girls are just gonna stay strong this vote and vote out like one of the guys. And everyone was telling me Steven.
No, because this was the first time, Abby, that me, you, and Autumn got to chat, and we were like, well, us three can just stay in it till the end. And then I walked
Yeah.
away, and then I don't know who came up to me, but they were like, Abby's. It was actually Griffin. I know it was Griffin because Griffin was pinning Abby and I against each other because he had deals with both of us. And
Yeah,
he was like,
I
Abby's saying your name. And I said, well, then she's got to go.
I don't remember. I don't think I ever said your name at that point. I think Griffin just straight up lied because I was
Yeah.
like, Autumn and Taylor are gonna go to the end, and like that's our alliance. So
Oh
Griffin's
yeah.
just sneaky.
And then everyone was chatting, and I was like, "Wait, I'm not in an alliance." I said, "Wait, you're just leaving behind."
Okay. I assume Griffin's still not here. If he is, he can chime in. But I assume he's somewhere else. One thing I do remember from this round is a conversation between Theo and Autumn. And okay, Theo, you were telling Autumn, you say, okay, we all put our votes on, I think it was like Josh. And we're like, we all put our votes on Josh. And then you play your idol for Josh. And that's a way to test and see if people are loyal to us. And I remember recording this conversation. And I was like, I don't see the vision here. Like, I'm confused.
I probably was like, yes, brilliant. Good work, Theo. Me, submissive to
I don't
a follower.
Yeah, I don't even know what was going on there.
Okay, so let's get to tribal. So if anyone has a hidden media idol and you would like to play it, now would be the time to do so. Abby chooses to play a hidden media idol for herself. So Abby, what made you play this?
So I feel like back at camp, I was like really like, okay, I guess we're just voting for Steven. But I was kind of like, this just feels too easy. And then we go to tribal, and everyone's like saying their little whatever, their piece on what's happening. And then Theo was like, oh yeah, we could like blindside someone, who knows? And I just had like this horrible gut feeling. I was like, they're trying to get me out, especially after that challenge. And so I was like literally looking at everyone, and I was like, Lizzie, are they voting me out? I was like, Autumn, are they voting me out? Like I was looking at literally everyone next to me being like, are they voting for me? And I had the idol with me, so I was like, screw it, I just gotta like cover myself, because I remember my confessional, I was like, I cannot go home with this idol and not having it played. And so yeah, I was like, I just gotta go for it.
All right, let's get to the votes. Actually, Autumn stands up. She plays her idol for Theo. All votes for Theo will not count. Theo, what are you thinking? And Autumn.
It's like, huh? Is this necessary? That's I think when I didn't. Do you remember what was going on in your head when you decided to play?
I heard your name get thrown around because Ashton was saying your name, and then I knew Ashton had alliances, and I think I was just scared that you were going to get voted out. So I think I just played it for you.
And it was the last time you could play it too, right? So you had to play it
Yeah, I
anyway.
was like,
So it was
might as
like,
well
might as
play
well.
it.
I see. She was loyal, a loyal broad.
Yeah, Ashton stayed saying Theo's name.
Mhm.
All right, let's get to the votes. Abby does not count. 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 Theo does not count. We have 2 votes left. Steven, that's 1 vote, Steven, 1 vote left. Next person voted out of Survivor, Steven. Insane. That was crazy. So, Abby and Theo, why Steven?
My brother.
I feel so bad. Wait, go ahead, Theo.
No, I don't even remember. Tell me, Abby.
I think it was just, I literally was like, that's just the name everyone's telling me. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone, like Lizzie and whoever else, all the girls were like, just vote out Steven. I was like, great. I've never spoken to him. I don't know him. Like, never worked with him. And I actually still feel so bad to this day that I voted him out like that. So.
Well, it was an iconic way to go. All right, next round. That's crazy. So now we still got the brains working together. Lizzie, I'm so sorry. I left you out in all of these, but Taylor also is connected to Lizzie. So Taylor has a very #1 alliance basically with everyone on the Brains tribe. Theo and Autumn are a very tight duo now. And now Abby and Ashton have split up. So Abby, why have you split up from your beauty girl?
Because everyone wanted to vote her out. And I was like, I cannot save this girl. Like, it's just, oh, Ashton's on. Hi.
Ashton.
I was like, I don't know. Like, I was still open to like voting with her, but I feel like everyone, like, it was just like constant, like, get Ashton out. So, especially coming off of that, like, huge try to blindside me, I was like, I literally have no allies. Like, I'll just work with literally whoever. So, it's definitely on my own little island.
Hey, Ashton, do you want to introduce yourself and then talk about why at this point in the game everyone wanted you out?
Yeah. Wait, I can't. Hold on, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm like in my car from this event. No, I wanted to jump on because I wanted to defend myself. I don't know
Okay.
why everyone wanted to vote me out. I sucked. And I literally said that in an interview or in a confessional. I was like, I'm not good at the challenges. I don't understand. Like, I'm no threat. But somehow it got misconstrued that way.
It wasn't really misconstrued when you kept trying to vote me out, though. So.
Oh yeah, well that was because I was at that point I knew like writing on the wall and I was like, oh crap, gotta do something. But that's because candidly and like my girl Abby, I wanted you to win. I think I literally said that during one of my confessionals. So I was like, it's gotta be Abby. But I needed to if I was gonna have any shot of like staying, if I were gonna make it to the end, I needed to have something to like something to claim for my resume. And so that's just my one opportunity of power because I wasn't able to be voted out. And then Griffin ruined it for me, but that's fine because it wasn't gonna work anyways. But I mean, like you got to make moves. You can't win Survivor without making moves. I mean, I guess you can technically, but
you can.
yeah, you're supposed to play the game. So, anyways, but yeah, I proud of my girl Abby. She did great. I also just felt really
Okay.
bad for Lizzie that she got stuck with me. Sorry, girl.
Oh, we haven't gotten there yet.
It's okay. Ashton, we're getting to our demise right now.
Oh, sorry, y'all. I don't know.
Spoilers. Okay. Paige is also on. Paige, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Paige. I'm sorry I'm late.
Paige was the victim of the Theo flipping on the All Girls Alliance in the
Shout
Brawn
out to
earlier.
Theo for crushing my dreams. But Autumn was a real one.
It was the boys.
Wait, what did I do?
Nothing. You saved her. Anyways.
Voted with me.
Yeah, voted with you.
Oh.
Yeah. You know, the boys, I think they just didn't want to be outnumbered by the girls.
All right. So back to present time. We are getting to the next immunity challenge. So this one was a twist. So players are divided into pairs. You draw a bead out of a bag, and that's your pair. You have to roll a ball around a ring, and the last person remaining wins immunity for themselves and their pair. The twist about this round is the person voted out, their pair is also voted out with them. And any immunity idols played also are played on the person's partner. So Abby was the last player standing. She won immunity for herself and her partner, Taylor. This was a fun one because after last round, Abby and Taylor are beefing hard. They are not friends. and now they're handcuffed together. So this is the showing of the partners. You got Autumn and Josh, Taylor and Abby, Theo and Griffin, and Lizzie and Ashton. This could not have worked out more perfectly. All the brains are partnered with someone else.
Perfect for
Also,
who?
for me, because I did not want it to be a brains final four. That would have been kind of lame. So, Taylor, can you talk about this idol?
Yes, I did kind of forget that I had this. We get back to camp after this challenge, and everyone kind of breaks off and is talking. And I think Autumn and I were sitting on the table, and for some reason, I went around the back of the tree and not the front of the tree to do a confessional. And I saw it in the tree, like my line of sight was right there. And I was like, this is literally in the middle of the camp. How am I supposed to grab this? And at this time, I was wearing like the buff. Like I wasn't wearing a shirt, I was just wearing the buff. So I once again had nowhere to put this thing, but I said, I might as well grab it. I'm here. So I grab it and I put it in my buff. Autumn sees me. And at the time, like Autumn and I are working together. Like we're chatting. Like I definitely do value her input of votes and like stuff like that. So then I was like, Autumn, I have to go do this confessional. I need you to keep your mouth shut. We'll look at it whenever we're done. And so I had immunity and an idol at that point. And I was kind of like, once again, I didn't really know what to do because I didn't have anyone besides Autumn to talk to.
Sweet. I will say Ashton circled this tree for about 5 minutes and I think stared the idol in the face multiple times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Literally, all me and Ashton were doing was looking for the
Yeah,
idol.
like we got back
The
to
whole
camp and I
time.
was like, let me know if you find it. And I think there was a shot of me literally like right at it. And yeah, I just didn't see it. That happens all the time with like Easter egg hunts. I'll just miss the most obvious ones. Whatever.
Yeah. Griffin, if you're back, I do want to hear from you. You weren't here when we were talking about the vote where everyone voted for Abby and you saw her get the idol. So at this point, like, you have this weird relationship with Abby where, like, you saw her get the idol, you lied to her face, tried to blindside her. So where are y'all at now?
At this point, I think she was done believing anything I said. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that, like before the vote, like she was believing me, and then she knew she was smart that I just tried to pull off like the biggest blindside against her, and so after that, I felt like maybe the trust was gone. But yeah.
No, I actually had no idea it was you that orchestrated that. I thought
Oh,
it was
that's right.
Taylor.
I did try to play that off a little. I
Yeah,
forgot
I
about that.
remember.
No, we were in
That's what caused the drama, right?
Yeah,
Abby came
because I
back and
was
was
like,
like,
came
"So
back
who
and
tried
thought
to
it was me, and I said,
blindside
I'm
me?"
done.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was okay with that playing out how it did at first. But then I think it clicked for Abby eventually, like I, couldn't be trusted there.
I honestly was willing to work with you. I was like, great. I don't really know Griffin. It can be like an undercover like alliance.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
I was fully convinced that Taylor orchestrated my blindside. I didn't know it was you.
Yeah, I was okay with that being your thought that it was Taylor.
Okay. So now back to this final 8 round. What are the conversations being had? What are the names being thrown out there? Taylor and Abby, y'all have a lot of power right now because you were both immune. So what are the conversations that are happening?
I think this was like the most complicated but uncomplicated vote because me and Taylor were paired. Taylor was close with Josh, didn't want to vote Josh out. I didn't want to vote Autumn out, so that was like off the table. So then we were kind of split between Griffin, Theo, Ashton, Lizzie, but like Autumn, we were working with Autumn. Autumn didn't want to vote out Theo. Josh and Taylor didn't really want to vote out Griffin. So we kind of were just like, I guess Ashton and Lizzie's the vote.
I remember Abby and Taylor, I was filming a conversation that y'all were having where you both settled on Theo and Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
How did you settle on that name and then what happened after?
I think we both were like, oh, they're the biggest like threats for like challenges of like immunity challenges and like game play, if that makes sense, of like idols, like being able to like do blindside. So we were like, let's just vote them out. Um, and then I think both of them came to us with like, oh wait, actually don't vote us out. Like they had good arguments.
Yeah,
I
that
was
was
scrambling. That was like the first like mad scramble in my mind
Well, I
that was
think
for me.
Theo came to me, and that was the first time Thea and I had like had a conversation. And I think just knowing Theo's character, I was like, okay, she's not lying. And like she's not gonna be like begging on her knees type of thing. So I was like, oh wait, I don't want to vote Theo out.
was a pity vote. No, that was it. Actually, this is the first time I even started strategizing because Autumn came to me and they're like, Theo, I can't help you. Like, you gotta do something. And that
Yeah.
was the first time I actually started talking to people because I was like, wait,
You
I
can
do.
spread your wings and flew.
Mama, I'm gonna fly. Anyways, but it was like there was actually a lot going on in my mind. It was like, wait, I don't want to be voted out. Wait, I actually care about this game. Wait,
Yeah.
I actually had to strategize. There's a lot of things in my head that were just like culminating, and I was like, there was not that many people left in my mind. It was hot. We were hungry. We made it that far, and I was like, I gotta do something. And so that was the first time that yeah, me and Taylor talked, and me and Abby, and so I didn't even think that I had a shot to even like convince you guys. So I'm glad it worked.
Well, I also think Autumn, Theo, and I had a conversation of like us three could potentially work together if you stayed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We're all
So, Lizzie and Ashton, what is going through y'all's head at this point? What conversations are you having? What's it looking like?
I mean, I think me and Ashton looked at each other the minute we pulled the balls to figure out our pairs. And I go, if we don't win this, we're going home. Our whole strategy, honestly, I think was pretty much idle play. Like, we talked to people a little bit, but at that point, I kind of knew the dynamics of like there was a web enough of like the pairs did not work out in our favor. Because I was like, Taylor had told me she's never voting out Josh. So I'm like, okay, she won't flip on them. Abby, I know, is not voting out Autumn, so she won't flip on them. But I also know that, so I'm like, okay, that won't work. Griffin would maybe vote out Autumn and Josh instead, but Theo won't vote out Autumn. So that, like, and you needed to pull, I think, two of a pair or one of each pair, and there was no way I think that I was going to be able to, like, where I could pull one person in one vote, I wasn't going to be able to pull that second person. And so me and Ashley kind of looked at each other and we're like, okay, it's idol scramble time. And we were looking for idols the whole time, and we still couldn't find it.
Yeah, Ashton, do you have any thoughts?
No, I mean that's pretty much what, and from my perspective, I think I went up to, who did I go up to? I might have gone up to Griffin and been like, I mean, look, Lizzie and I are a number. Use this if you want to or whatever. That was kind of my plea, but I was the target at least the last two votes. So for me, the writing was on the wall. I was like, I gotta find an idol or I'm going home. I also just want to like make it known that it was really difficult going into like beauty got demolished before we could even really build relationships. So we went in where everyone else had relationships with their tribes and had been able to just hang out and chill with each other. Beauty went in, we had to play the whole game from like the minute we started, like we had to play gameplay. And so it was really hard to, on the back end, get people to understand, hey, like, we're not, like, I personally wasn't trying to just like connive and play this like masterful mind game because honestly I was too tired by that point. I had a migraine. But we didn't have we didn't have the luxury of building those relationships at the beginning of the game. So I knew I was like, I mean, you can't get people to trust you in the 30 to 45 minutes you have to scramble. So might as well. And they had already shown that they wanted me out. So it just sucked for Lizzie.
Sweet.
I
Okay, let's
tried.
get to the vote. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and you'd like to play it, now would be the time to do so. No one stands. First vote, Ashton. Theo. Autumn. Ashton. 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 The tribe has spoken. Ashton and Lizzie, because Lizzie is tied to Ashton, both of them are eliminated. Lizzie eliminated with 0 votes to her name. You have any last words?
You know, it was brutal, but I'll take it because it feels a little bit better to be like, well, they didn't actually vote me out.
It's true. And Ashton, you had a very uphill battle from day one. So how does it feel to go out this way?
Look, I went in saying I want to make merge. I'll be proud of myself if I can make merge, and I did. Um, and yeah, it was, I mean, literally, I know I missed a discussion, but when I won the immunity challenge, like I was hanging on by a thread already. So I feel good about it. Also, well, I'll leave it there.
Okay. All right. And in a twist, Ashton did not vote for Theo. It was actually Lizzie. And Ashton voted for Autumn. So that was a funny culmination to
I
that
think we
plot.
were the only duo that split our votes.
You were.
Because, well, I think that bit us in the butt is Abby said I think she thought like her and Taylor had to vote together. She didn't realize they could split it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. All right. Next round. Final 6. So now Abby has an alliance again. She has joined the Braun girls, and they are all great friends now. And then the Brains alliance is still intact. Taylor is still, man, she's what's the word? Love triangle or power triangle with Griffin and Josh. She's the center of that power triangle. So yeah, I'm curious. Just what are all of y'all? Are you aware of how this is split? Like Taylor, how do you feel about your or and Josh and Griffin? How do y'all feel? And then Abby, how do you feel with the bronze? What are your thoughts?
I think I should have something going up to Autumn because Autumn and I were working together at this point,
Okay,
and then I was working with Theo in proximity of Autumn.
gotcha. So Taylor is kind of also linked to the girls. So there's still a little bit of a girls
Yeah,
alliance
there
going
was a
on.
redemption arc with Abby and I, and then she bombed it again. Um, but we won't go into that.
Okay. Yeah, there was
But
kind of a frenemies thing going on with y'all.
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of was just like locked in with Autumn and Theo. I again still did not realize the extent of the Brain tribe, how the bonds were that strong. Um, what was your question?
Yeah, just you answered it.
Oh,
Josh and Griffin, what is y'all's take? Y'all are the only two guys hanging on by a thread. What are y'all's perspectives on what the dynamics are right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, like we kind of saw the line in the sand and saw that it was kind of a 3 versus 3. It was definitely, I guess, a little intimidating the fact that there were 4 girls and only 2 guys, but I think kind of what got us here thus far was just, from where we started on being on the brains, and I think that's kind of where we wanted to kind of keep everything, keep the balance.
Sweet. Let's get to this immunity challenge. In this challenge, you had to count to 10 minutes in your head while being blindfolded. The players closest to 10 minutes without going over wins immunity. Taylor, you, I think, broke a record by the fastest person to finish this challenge. I think you finished in like 4 minutes or something. So, how were you counting? Because you were counting over twice as fast.
To be honest, when you're blindfolded, I was also I remember I was thinking of Chick-fil-A, but because I was really hungry, but I literally think I was just tapping my thigh.
You were
And
tapping
I
your
could
thigh really fast.
like super fast. Um yeah, as soon as I sat down, I was like, I don't think that was 10 minutes if I'm being completely honest. And then I couldn't stand back up.
Yeah, no, we sat for six
No,
more
I'm
minutes.
pretty sure Austin thought I was gonna pass out.
Really?
Like, yeah, he was like, you sat down, and him and someone looked at each other, is what he said, and they thought I was gonna pass out. And I was like, nope.
Wow. So this challenge came down to why is Steve standing like that? Josh wrote that.
Leave me alone.
Oh, that's funny. Um, so this challenge was an extremely tight finish. Abby sat down with, I think, 4 or 5 seconds remaining until 10 minutes. And then Griffin sat down with like 2 seconds remaining. So Griffin narrowly beat Abby. Griffin, are you there?
No, I think he left.
He left. That's sad. So Abby, crushing defeat for you. This is your first time being vulnerable since you were piled on at the final 9. So it's got to be scary for you.
Yeah, especially because it's basically 3 versus 3, so literally takes one person to flip to get someone out. And pretty much anytime I didn't have immunity, I was like, they're gonna get me out. So
this y'all have hinted at a crazy thing that goes down. What's the drama that happens here?
Yeah. So I kind of had, as previously said, I felt like I was in a good place. The 2 strongest people, Taylor and Abby, feel like I was strong with them. Like whatever I was just good terms. And then Abby started saying something to me. Taylor was convincing me, like, no, the brains, like, it's going to be us to the end. And I was like, yes. And then Abby was saying, like, no, she has an alliance with the brains. And I was like, I don't know. And then I started, like, thinking about it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask Taylor. Like, Josh is a good person to vote out. Let's vote out Josh. It'll be more girls, too. And like that's also what we still wanted, is more girls than guys. And I straight up was like, let's vote out Josh. And in my head, if she said no, that proves like no, brains are going to the end. And she said no, we're not going to vote Josh out or something of that nature. And I was like, well, there you go.
She also did this right in front of Josh. After Autumn and I had talked that I was gonna take Autumn to the final 3. And so I knew she didn't trust me and she trusted Abby more. And the fact she did in front of Josh pretty much, because Abby was going home this round. Like she was the one getting voted out, and then she did that, and I said, nope, Autumn, gotta go.
Yeah, I was a little heated. I was like, dang, Taylor really put up a good front. She really, really convinced me. And yeah, then I called you out and I really just put a target on my back. I said, it is my time to go home now because Taylor holds the power. I'm out.
Going into tribal, we were walking in a straight line. Abby was going home. I turned to Griffin and Josh and I said, Autumn.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh. Sorry, what?
No, keep going.
Josh, how did you have this hold over Taylor where she was down for the girls alliance, going to the end with the girls, but would never write your name down?
I mean, I think it kind of was like, hey, we've gotten this far with the brains, and it was like, hey, we can continue to go further with the brains. And I think all 3 of us were on the same page with that. And yeah, I don't think that's just kind of how it felt, I think.
Taylor, was part of it your crush?
Yeah. I think from the very beginning, I was never gonna put Josh's name down, like ever. I think in my opening confessional, they were like, Josh is a strong dude. He's strong and smart. And I was like, I mean, yeah, if we're smart, we'd get him out first. But I'm not doing it.
But I kind of like that he's strong and smart. I kind of like his brains. I
strong and
smart. I like that. I think Taylor said that too. Then the first like 2 minutes when you found the clue for the idol and you showed it to me and you were like, we were talking about like who we wouldn't vote out and like how we wouldn't write each other's name down. You go, I'm not writing Josh's name down.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like 2 minutes in. Like, how do you already have this like bond with him?
Yeah, that was never happening.
Yeah, there was a video, I think it was a confessional of Taylor saying, she was like, yeah, we should probably vote Josh out first, but I'm never writing his name down.
I was like,
he was playing the long game, guys. He was playing the long game.
It was.
It worked.
It did.
All right, let's get to tribal. This is going to be a juicy one. I actually did not witness this explosion between Autumn and Taylor. I just heard about it. I heard that it was aggressive.
It was bad.
Okay. So now we're at tribal. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and you would like to play it, now would be the time to do so. Taylor chooses to play a hidden immunity idol on herself. Taylor, why did you choose to play it for yourself?
Well, actually, I'm pretty sure Josh and I had a chat because Josh's name was getting thrown around by the girls, and I was like, well, Josh, I'll just play it on you. Then we're both safe, and us three can vote somebody. And then I don't remember exactly what was said, but it was something like, okay, well, they're going to think you're playing it on me, so play it on yourself. Because they all knew how much I was never going to put Josh's game in jeopardy. So I think they all were like, Taylor's going to put it on Josh. Let's vote for Taylor. So then Josh was like, no, play it for yourself. So I did.
Yeah, we were literally trying to guess. We had some like code phrase we were gonna say, like if we thought that we needed to switch it at tribal. But I think we just ended up we're like, okay, Taylor's gonna play it on Josh. We'll just vote for Taylor and then you play it for yourself. So
Do you remember what the code was? I forgot.
I don't remember, but it was something really stupid. But it was like casual enough we could like toss it in there. But
I love that behind the scenes content. Let's get to the votes. Taylor does not count. Taylor does not count. Taylor does not count. Autumn. Next person voted out of Survivor, Autumn. Man, Josh is just dying laughing right now. Oh man. Yeah, that was very nearly Abby until Autumn and Taylor got in a little tiff.
Yeah, it was going to be Abby.
Saved by a hair. All right. So it was very much along those lines. The brains stuck together. And now we're down to Theo and Abby, and against the three brains, the power triangle, with Taylor at the center, Josh and Griffin, her two boy toys. All right. Next challenge. So this immunity was where you had to go count a collection of objects and then run back to the start. And there was an order that you put the number of those objects into the lockbox, and the correct order would open the lockbox. Anyone have any comments on this one?
It was so hot. I was so hungry. I couldn't count.
There were ants everywhere.
There were ants everywhere, yeah. Josh, what did you say?
I would also like to say that we absolutely just glazed over the fact that we slept in a tent in the pouring rain. I think you like completely missed that.
And almost died.
Almost died. Well, some of
It
us
was a
almost
lightning
died.
storm. Yeah, it was lightning pretty bad at night and pouring.
Ned, does anyone still have that footage? Like, is it on anyone's phone?
I don't know. Probably not. I can look for it.
Like, I remember Austin too saying like, "Oh, might not need the rain, like the tent or whatever. Like, there's no rain in the forecast," and we literally heard it coming like, and 15 minutes later,
Yeah.
pouring down rain.
I got out of bed at like 2 a.m. and just filmed the tent, just lightning striking
No, that
down
was
on
some
it.
of the loudest thunder I've like ever heard in my life, I think.
I don't think I've ever been more scared in my life. Like I literally was like, we are going to die for this game.
Yeah,
No,
and
I
that
was
lightning was striking
praying.
like right next to the tent. And I was at the very end of the tent, and I could just feel the water like dripping into the tent.
That is brutal. Yeah, I'm sure I can find like a picture or something from somewhere. I think it's in the intro. There's a clip of the lightning striking the tent.
Oh
in the
yeah,
intro.
that was cool.
Yeah, because you went outside to video that instead of getting us to come inside.
Yeah, I was in a bed. I was chilling. All right.
Yeah,
So
that's why we signed a waiver.
exactly.
So
I'm not
true.
responsible. You can't sue me. This challenge, Abby ended up winning. Clutch win for Abby. Abby, how are you feeling?
I pretty much knew anytime I didn't win, I was going to get voted out, especially because it was 3 versus 2 at this point. So When I was doing the challenge, I was like, I literally have one shot to get this right, especially because everyone was like doing it faster than I was. So I was like, I literally have to count, get all of these right, and just be like one and done. And yeah.
You did. Abby got it on her first try, I believe. And I also think there was an object that had 0 as the answer. So that was kind of a trick question. So now we're at the merge, and Abby, tell me about what you found at the merge camp.
Sorry. Yeah, I basically was like, okay, it's me and Theo versus the other three. I need to find an idol. And I remember asking production, I was like, do we still have idols in the game at this point? They're like, yeah, we do. And so I literally just like was wandering around with Theo chatting, and I looked down and I was like, boom, there's an idol. So I was like, I'm safe. Theo, this is for you. Play it for yourself. So basically we're like, how do we, like, we're just like, we both know we're safe. So then we had our pick of who went out next.
Okay, so brains, what's y'all's thought process at this point? Do you think anything is up, or do you think it's going to be an easy Theo vote?
I think we literally saw,
We literally saw Theo get the idol.
yeah. So it was like, well,
Bad moment.
yeah.
So at that point, do you start thinking, do we turn on each other, or what?
I think Josh's first thought was he was going to step in and be chivalrous for Taylor. And he was like, I'm willing to die on the sword and she can stay and fight it out. And she was like, no, let's do this. Like, just straight up. Let's just see who goes.
No, because then Griffin was not chivalrous at all. Griffin was like, I'm staying. I don't know about y'all. And Josh and I both were like, well, Josh was like, Taylor, you want to play? And I was like, well, Josh, you have the most likely chance of winning. I was like, I'm probably getting voted out. I said, Abby hates me. Theo just found an idol. It's going to be me. And then I think we both went and talked to them separately about like, vote me. Like, I think at that point, we just wanted a brain to win.
I don't think anyone came and talked to me, but I didn't like hate Taylor. I was just like, Taylor's gonna win this game. So I was like, this is our opportunity to get her out. And so it's kind of just like you gotta take out the person who you think is gonna win. And I didn't think Griffin at this point was so locked in with them. So I was trying to like maybe get Griffin on our side too, I think. Or maybe that was the next round. I don't know. But
No, you were. Yeah, I remember that. And it was just like you two were the biggest threats, like by far at this point. Like me, Josh, and Theo were probably all would have said the same thing that like you two are the biggest threats and you're the one that found the idol. So it was just like that was finding the idol itself was just like such a powerful swing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like literally if you guys didn't find that, it was like, okay, like Abby won immunity, Theo, see ya.
Bye
But
bye.
yeah, didn't shake out that way.
Yep. All right, well, let's get to the vote. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and you'd like to play it, now would be the time to do so. Abby plays an idol for Theo. All votes for Theo will not count. Theo does not count. Theo does not count. Theo does not count. Taylor. Next person voted out of the game, Taylor. Taylor, this was actually heartbreaking for me because I like you. I think you would have won the game if you survived this round. That was tough. How did you feel?
Honestly, I was kind of fine with it because I knew who was left in the game. And I knew who was getting my vote, and I think I knew, yeah. I just think I wasn't mad about it because it was literally pure luck that I got sent home. Like if Griffin or Josh would have or I would have found the idol, like we would have been coasting till final three. So like it wasn't anything that like we could have done, if that makes sense. So I wasn't mad. Like if Griffin or Josh would have voted for me in this round, I would have been more upset. But like
Definitely.
they didn't, so I wasn't mad.
Yeah, true. And it's hard to be mad at the fact that you're voted out because you're a threat to win.
No. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right. Next round, final four. We got Griffin and Josh. The two boys have stuck it out since the final eight and are still around. Their number one, both of their number one is now out of the game, but now they've got each other. That's kind of a cute bromance going on. And then Theo and Abby, the unlikely duo, are still in. So Griffin and Josh, how are y'all feeling now that Taylor just got taken out?
I mean, I feel like it was like the game was so crazy getting down to the stretch, but that was the point where I knew like I wasn't really worried about Josh turning on me. I mean, we were pretty locked in that like we were just gonna ride it out. Like it was just kind of known at that point. It would have been a disservice to Brains Tribe if we didn't stick with each other.
Yeah, Josh, how did you feel?
Yeah, I think a similar way as Griffin kind of pointed out. Like at this point, it's the final four. Like we know kind of where everybody stands, and I think a lot was riding on the next challenge and winning that.
All right. On that note, let's get to the next challenge. So, at this challenge, you have to use blocks to hold other blocks in the center. This challenge, um, quickly, Abby was out of the challenge. Then, after that, Theo dropped, and then it came down to a fierce battle between Josh and Griffin. Y'all want to talk about that?
Man's got stronger forearms than me. He killed that.
Yeah, I think the hardest part was like picking it up, and once you had to get like, I guess a longer series of blocks, like, but once you had it up, you could kind of try and stabilize it. But
Yeah, it was definitely a fun challenge. I think going into it, all four of us were like probably it was like the most intense. It got more and more intense each round, obviously, but that one I just remember was like so intense.
Definitely. So, yeah,
yeah,
Josh, this is your
do you remember when like it was like we had a time limit to pick it up, and then at first like Griffin like picked it up just at the timeline, and we
Yeah, like
literally had
replay
to like,
review.
yeah, instant replay, and we were like, all right,
yeah.
we're gonna run it back.
Yep. Yeah. So we counted down, and Griffin picked it up either like exactly at the time where I said one. So it was way too close to call if he had it up or not by the time they were finished counting. And so we just replayed that, and then it played out as normal. And Josh ended up winning that round. Um, Josh, this was your first win. How did it feel?
Man, it was definitely a long time coming. To this point, had won an individual immunity challenge, and was kind of, I think, in the middle to back of the pack with strength for individual challenges. But it felt really good to kind of get a win in the final four.
Definitely. So now we're back in the merge camp. I think it's pretty clear how the dynamics are going to go. Griffin, I think you and Josh, I think Abby and Theo were trying to sway Josh to vote out Griffin. Is that correct?
No, we were trying to get Griffin on our side to vote out Josh.
Josh
I
won
was
immunity.
literally, oh, wait,
Maybe
I think
before you were
before the
trying to.
challenge, you were
before it.
that was kind of like I remember walking to the challenge and you guys are basically like it's Josh, like we got to get him out now. Like this is our chance,
Yeah.
and then he stepped up and got the win. Like I don't know that I would have gone against him anyway, but when he got the win, it was just done.
Yeah. At that
Yeah.
point, like, it was like 2 rounds of me being like, Griffin, please work with me. Like, I want you on my side.
I probably should have honestly.
Yeah. I was oblivious, though. I was like, oh, yeah, Griffin will work with me. Like, he saw me get my idol. I had no idea he was my blind side orchestrated. Like, I literally was like, oh, yeah, Griffin will work with me for sure. And like every single round, he was like, oh, sorry. So,
Yeah, I think to Griffin's point, like definitely like around this time, like everything started tensing up and you knew like, okay, like this is pretty serious. I do remember like having one confessional with Austin and being like, oh, how do you feel? Like, because going into it, he was like, oh, you might make it past the merge, but then you'll probably get picked off. But like, there was a point in time, like, how do you feel? I'm like, man, like, if I could get past this round, like, I feel pretty good because like looking at who's on the jury and who have like how I've played the game, like, this was definitely a tense moment for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know there's a clip somewhere. I think someone still has it of like me and Griffin just talking, and I'm like, he's like, you can vote out Theo. I'm like, I'm not doing that, and he's like, we can vote out like or we can like you guys could flip or whatever. Anyway, we basically were just like going at each other and being like, it's gonna end up in a 2v2 tie. Like, there's just no other way around it. So
I feel like if there was a little more time in between, like it might have come together for me or Abby on that vote to like, I don't know, or maybe if it just wasn't Theo, because I feel like you had a little bit of loyalty at that point. Like it was like you were the two girls left. You're like, I'm not gonna do that to her. Like you couldn't, you
yeah,
probably didn't trust me enough by then because it was like your fourth try of trying to get me to do something, and then
yeah,
it's like, I'm not gonna just do that to Theo. Like you, I remember you thinking like, I can't do it to her.
yeah. We literally walked into tribal being like, it's gonna be a tie. Like, we just all know.
Okay, let's get to tribal. First vote, Griffin, Abby. Griffin, Abby. We have a tie. So we're going to revote. You may only vote for Griffin and Abby. Griffin and Abby may not vote. Josh and Theo, are either of y'all thinking about flipping at this point?
No.
No, honestly,
Okay.
That was when I decided like if I was leaving, Josh was getting my vote in the final probably because he had like stuck with me through that, and even like it would have been so easy for him to just vote me out right there. So I was like, he's getting my vote.
All right. Revote. Griffin, Abby. We have another tie, which means we're going to a fire making competition. This is it. It was pretty epic. It was a really rough setup. I know the grass being squishy did not help. There weren't really favorable conditions for starting a fire. So do y'all want to just talk through what happened?
I mean, it was great to be a part of like something like that because I'm actually like a big Survivor fan, and that's such like a iconic part of Survivor is the fire making. And like I actually felt like so intense during the whole thing. I was like, this is, I mean, we are in this. And then yeah, the conditions to speak to that, not making any excuses here, but the magnesium just kept falling to the bottom of the grass. So then, like getting it started from scratch with the thing would have been so hard. Like neither one of us could even get it going. Like we were getting sparks, but yeah.
That was single-handedly the worst thing I think I've ever done. Like, I literally hated every second of that. But like Griffin said, it's every Survivor fan's dream to make fire and be like, could I actually do that? But yeah, it was horrible. Like, I literally started bleeding because I kept hitting my thumb instead of like the magnesium with the striker. I don't know. It was just horrible. Like, the sun was coming down on us. We all were miserable. It was just like dead silent. You have like 30 people watching you like suffer. So it was kind of funny, but also, yeah, it was just kind of horrible. So thank God Ned took mercy on us and gave us some fire starter because that was horrible.
Yeah, after a long time. I didn't just give it to y'all easy. It was like 20 minutes of just brutal heat. Nothing. Y'all were bleeding. There was no fire. And so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna give a little head start. Yeah. This was a pretty epic conclusion to y'all's story, I think, because y'all had like there was this whole like, will they work together? Won't they work together? The entire merge, and it's like it felt like y'all kept wanting to work together. And maybe if y'all had started on the same tribe, you would have been like a really tight duo. But there was just
I
this.
think if we started on the same tribe, 100%,
Yeah.
and then it might have been like because you and Cade were like cool in the game, and so it's like I feel like I would have been cool with Cade too, because like he, with us not being on the same tribe, once we got to merge, he was coming at me like we talked about. But like that could have been like definitely a threatening trio there.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So what was the conclusion of this challenge?
I made fire and I got it high enough to burn the little rope down. And so yeah, then it was me, Josh, and Theo, final three.
Yeah, Griffin, you have any last words? You have a
It
pretty
was
epic
like
ride.
it was cool because all the people that were watching were also so into it. So when you won, I was like, I was happy for you at that point. I'm like, I was happy to had made it that far. So it was like it felt like a good ending. Like usually defeat probably hurts a little more than it did in that moment because it was just like everybody was there, it was so intense, and like, you deserved also to be in the final three. So that was good.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, either way, it's kind of an awesome way to go out of the game. It wasn't like someone was targeting you. So, yeah, it was cool. It was a cool little ending. And I think that we needed that for our little, like, I don't know, our rivalry there that we were trying to
Right,
work
I know. I
together.
mean, honestly, throughout the merge, like in retrospect, it's always easy to say, but we should have definitely worked together.
Yeah, it just never came, but that's okay.
Y'all were like siblings. I felt like always bickering, but you always end up back together. But then it just didn't work out in the end. That was fun to watch.
Yeah.
All right, now we are down to the final three. We got Theo and Abby, and now Josh is on his own again. Familiar spot for Josh. He was swapped into a tribe where he was the only brain, and now we've got one brain, one brawn, and one beauty left. And all three of y'all have very different stories of how you got here. So Josh, Theo, Abby, what's on the line this vote, this challenge?
At least for me, I knew it was like I gotta win or I'm going home. Like I'm the only guy. The only we got one brain, one brawn, one beauty, and like one of these things is not like the other. So I knew it was kind of like do or die, or definitely felt that way going into it.
Yeah, for me it was like I have to win. Noted there was only one time I won in the whole entire Survivor. So it was, and basically after that it was for the fire challenge. Me and Abby were pretty strong. I mean, she was sobbing and I held her in my arms. So it was a pretty emotional moment. Honestly, I don't even know what came. I don't know. I was cheering her on, um, knowing that like we were gonna be final three. Even regardless of that, it was still pretty intense moment. And so for me, it was like, one, how did I end up here, final three? Two, how am I even gonna try to win this thing? So a lot of cogs spinning around in my brain.
Yeah, I basically was just like, me or Theo has to win. Like, there's just no question. Like, that's the game plan. So,
Definitely. Yeah, Theo mentioned some cogs turning in her brain. So fittingly, the final challenge was about building a series of cogs. So you had to, everyone had a bucket, and there was a hole in the bucket that would leak water. And so you had to go fill up your bucket, place it on your stool, and then while it was dripping water, you had to solve your gear puzzle. First person to fully solve their gear puzzle, where it would all spin at the end, won immunity. Um, anyone want to talk about this challenge?
It was insane. I don't even know how Josh got it. I don't even think I was close. Was it luck? Like I don't even know, guys. Like you tell me, like what was your thought about this?
It looked hard from an outsider's perspective. Josh was like a locked in engineer, just like so focused on trying every combination, then eventually just got it.
Yeah, Josh, how did you get it?
I think it was just a matter of like I tried to to keep like the shortest distance between the water like leaving. Like I tried to run really fast to make sure that nothing was falling out and just go right away whenever I poured the small bucket of water into the dripping. And then yeah, I think my thought process was connect the bigger gears and then kind of work your way down to the smaller ones. But it definitely was some trial and error and took some brain power. But yeah, it wasn't just like one or two either gears. There was like, man, was there like 10 to 12 pieces?
Yeah,
You
there were a
remember?
lot of gears.
Like, I don't know
Looked
if you
like
timed
10.
it or remember, but it took at least like 10 trips, I think, at least.
Yeah, it's a difficult challenge. But I mean, being an engineer, I think definitely did help you out here. You got that just brain for spatial reasoning and stuff. So it worked out. And Josh, this is your second win in a row. It is one you absolutely had to win because Theo and Abby were both going to take each other to the end. So, how did it feel to win this moment?
It definitely felt good. I mean, like to not only just win one challenge individually in the final four, but to follow that up with another challenge that was definitely do or die as well. Uh, Definitely kind of carrying that momentum into the what could be the final two. And yeah, we're just glad to get a win.
All right, so now we're back at camp. Josh, you have a decision to make. Theo and Abby, what are your pitches to Josh?
I basically knew I was toast. I was begging Josh. I was like, please, like everyone on the jury hates me. Like, come on. Like, I just literally wanted to sit at the end and just be like, here's why. I don't think a lot of people would have voted for me actually to win because everyone hated me. And so I was like, why not? Like, just be like, no one's gonna vote for me. So, but he literally patted me on the shoulder and was like, you played a great game. Like, sorry, it's just not happening.
Yeah, no, Abby, everybody was gonna vote for you. I think everybody saw the grit and the tenacity you had to win this game and what you did, and you clawed your way from beauty and made it to the final three. I think there was a lot of respect on those on the jury that you didn't realize. And I think that when me and Josh were talking, he was like, there's no way that I would actually beat Abby if it came down to playing Survivor that
Well,
way.
I didn't say all that now.
Well, that was okay. I literally don't remember, but it was just like, I mean, you're gonna take the weakest person, right? The one that you don't think that's gonna you have a shot at. Let's think honestly here. So Josh,
Yeah, I mean, that's like Survivor 101. It's like you bring the person you think you can beat. So,
So, Josh, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, kind of going off Theo and Abby's, I guess my thoughts. That was kind of my thought process. Like, I mean, me and Theo both had, I think, stronger teams from the beginning to kind of like help us get a little further in the game from the beginning. But then Abby, like, was kind of playing with one hand behind her back from the very beginning, like losing back to back challenges, like having to, be in kind of dramatic fashion, having to vote people out left and right, like navigate all that. And then to be the minority and still kind of stake her claim till the very end. Like I think that definitely said a lot about Abby's grit. Now, did she sleep inside? Yes, she did, but like it is what it is. So I think, yeah, that was kind of my thought process.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that. Eduardo was leading an anti-Abby coalition on the jury
yeah, the like
because
AAA or whatever, anti-Abby, he like hated me. But I think I heard from the jury members that everyone kind of like flipped it around after I won the fire making challenge. Like that definitely earned some points for the Abby hate club. So
It was all
Yeah,
the people that were
you
out.
making fire. You making fire started to sway the AAA back to your side.
that's funny. Yeah, I think as soon as the lightning started, Abby said, "I'm not doing this," and went inside, and some people held grudges the entire game for that.
I don't think Abby ever went to the tent.
Really?
She was sick.
yeah, I was like
Oh,
puking in the bathroom. So
I do remember that. I was inside when that was happening, and she was sick.
yeah. So I mean, let's be honest, no one really slept that night. So didn't really do much to sleep inside. I think a couple other people made their way inside amongst the lightning. But yeah, it was rough out there.
All right, let's get to the vote. Josh will cast a sole vote. The final person voted out of Survivor, Abby. Abby, what do you have to say?
I was not surprised. A little tiny part of me was like hoping maybe he would switch, but I knew I was like, I'm walking to my demise. But I think, yeah, I was just, I don't know. I think I still wish to this day was a final three. That could have been a lot more interesting. But Yeah, I mean, I was proud of both of them and they played great games. And I literally was like crying in my final interview. I was like, all this like exhaustion, just like emotion just comes over and you're like, oh my God, this is like over. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. All right. So now we're down to our final two, Theo and Josh. They have fought their way to the end. Josh is the final brain. Theo is the final brawn. Just what's your case to win, both of you?
There's not enough people on here. But I will say I thought I had it in the bag. Like the way that I spoke that I literally not even that Austin literally looked at me and was like, "You got it in the bag." Like it was so weird that like, like the idea of everything in my case and the way I spoke and people were kind of worried. They were like, "Theo, I don't know if you have this in the bag. I don't know if you blah blah blah." And I was like, "No, no, no. If there's one thing that I can do is I can yap." Like I was actually really confident in myself because of like the I don't know that I could speak. Um so I let the jury vote, but um yeah, just saying that what I played, I actually did something in the game. I did kind of slander Josh and I was like he didn't do anything. He just kind of slithered his way there. I won the challenges that mattered to my team. I don't even remember what I said. I think I spoke for a hot second. Josh, you can go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were kind of just both going to bat for ourselves and trying to hype ourselves up about, how we got here. And I think, I mean, ultimately, like the top two people didn't get there by accident. Like we both like were strategic in our own way. And I think the biggest thing that may have put me over the edge was just the final two challenges I won, and those were two individual challenges. And I think, yeah, I think the one kind of setbacker would be like that Theo didn't win an individual challenge. And I mean, other than that, she played a perfect game. She got to the final two. But when I kind of use that appeal to the jury, it's like, and look who I'm appealing to, it's like 80% people who weren't aligned or like I was kind of working close with and, didn't necessarily stab anybody in the back or ruffle any feathers in that way. Like I think like yeah, I knew I had a chance in going in and that's kind of all you can ask for.
Yeah. Okay. Any jury members want to chime in what your thought process was? How are you weighing the options?
I guess I can say I think initially I'm agreeing with Josh. His coming in and winning those last two, because as he kind of said, there was no way I think he was making it to the end unless he won. So I think that kind of put him as the front runner in my mind. Like he was in the Brains Alliance, he won himself basically to the end. So that kind of put him slightly ahead. But then Theo spoke so well. I think I went in being like, okay, I'm voting Josh, and Theo almost swayed me because she, as she said, she can yap, and she really like she went to bat for herself.
For me, I was like pretty up in the air between the two of them because me and Theo like worked really close together, but in the end I ended up voting for Josh to win just because he did kind of pull off those last couple immunities, and I was like I gotta respect that he like literally won himself to this spot. But yeah, I think a lot of the questions for the jury was basically just like what was your strategy, like how did you get here, those types of questions. So yeah.
I I went in thinking I'd vote for Josh, but then was kind of the same boat, just like impressed by Theo's speech. So like it did make me second guess it, but it was like the type of game that Josh played, like he was like a little more reserved throughout the whole thing and like friends with everyone. It was just like a perfect ending for him then to step up and win the last two. Because for someone that played that way, I mean, that's what you have to do because it's like you can get down to 4 or 5, but then everyone's going to look at you and be like, oh, well, this guy, like, we got to get this guy out now. So it's like you had that reserve game work so well, and then boom, you won at the perfect time. And like I didn't get to see Theo's game as close, like up front throughout the game. We like came together, didn't even get to know each other till later. So it was like that probably gave like a little bit of the sway too, but like Josh's timing was just perfect.
Cool. Anyone else still with us? Is Taylor on? Maybe not.
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
What was your thought process the final two between voting for Josh and Theo?
I feel like a lot of it really was that he won the last two. I think he played an honest game. I think Theo did too. Um, but I feel like Josh didn't say a bad thing about Theo in his closing regards, like in her gameplay. And I think Josh was on my tribe at the beginning, so I think all in all he played a better game. Sorry, Theo.
Okay. I don't know if anyone else from the jury is on. If you have any thoughts, speak now. All right. Let's get to the votes. First vote, Josh. Theo. Josh. Theo. Josh. Josh. Winner of Survivor, Nacogdoches, Josh. All right. And Josh ended up getting 7 of the jury votes, and Theo got votes from Caden and Autumn. Congratulations to both of y'all. Great final two. You both played, I think, underrated games. A lot of Survivor is getting to the end without being the biggest threat to where you're voted out beforehand, and y'all played that perfectly. If you think about it, all the people who played flashier games were not sitting where you were. So you played a great game, both of you. Proud of both of y'all. So good job. Now I got some statistics. They're fun little things. So individual immunity wins. Taylor and Abby are tied for 3. But Taylor, there's an asterisk by one of yours because it was one that Abby won, and you just got immunity because of it. It was the partner one. Josh won the final 2 immunities. Then Lizzie, Ashton, and Griffin all won 1 each. Then hidden immunity idols. Eddie and Ashton found theirs round 1. Autumn found hers at the swap. Then Abby found one at the final 9. Then Taylor found one right after, and then Abby found another at the final 5. Nullified votes. Ashton had 4 votes nullified against her. Cade had 2. Abby had 6. Theo had 5, and Taylor had 3. So we had a lot of really fun idol plays this season. Most votes received, unsurprising, was Ashton. She had 15 against her. She was a target from the beginning. Abby had 10 against her, and then Caden had 8. Fewest votes received, Lizzie had 0. Josh had 1. Josh, you would have had 0, but that 1 vote that Eduardo cast against you gave you second place for this. That's also another huge accomplishment, making it to the end with almost no votes against you. And then Steven had 3, which was enough to take him out. Tribal councils attended. Abby attended 11. And then Josh, Theo, and Griffin all attended 9. And that's it. So that's the conclusion of season 5. So thank you all for attending this recap. It's really, really sad that we don't have a full season to put out, but I'm hoping that this is a substitute for what we have. So
yeah, Ned, thanks for taking your time to just kind of put all this together and continue to, stay the course even when hard drives aren't working.
Absolutely. Thank you all for being on at this late hour. I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Ned, for all your hard work.
We love Ned.
It was so fun to recap it. Oh, much Ned.
Good.
Fun fact I realized as you were showing all the votes, after we voted Bailey out, no brain ever voted another brain out. Because Taylor got out by other people due to
Wait,
right?
Yeah,
like
wow.
I got because Steven got voted
That's
out
on
by
teamwork.
Abby and Theo, not a brain.
Yeah.
I never got votes. Ashton got votes.
Mhm.
Taylor got voted out by Abby and Theo. Griffin lost by fire.
That's true. Wow, that's a great point.
And
That's
it's
a real
also
alliance.
yeah.
Like, so just saying, like, the brains kind of killed it.
It
Brains
wasn't
kind of
even,
killed
and
it.
we didn't talk about it, but it was crazy going into that first tribal as like brains that like I remember you asked the question like raise your
Oh
hand
yeah, you were like, who
if you
feels
think
safe?
you're on the yeah, raise your hand if you think you're on the chopping block. Nobody raised their hand. So it was
Yeah.
like completely blindside.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that was like y'all were a great alliance. And honestly, it was really fun for me watching because it was a like at the merge, it looked like it was going to be a Brains Final Five, but then it just went back and forth. Like y'all had control, then lost it, then had it, lost it. It was
Yeah.
very fun to witness.
There was too many other good players for it to shake out that way. Like it was
Exactly.
like there's just all these different like underdog stories coming with like the Beauty tribe, and then like even after Braun started losing numbers, like Autumn and Theo like still being like it was just too much competition
There was
for
too many
brains.
good idol plays.
Yes, that too.
Yeah, yeah. This was a great season. I think it would have been one of the best to watch. So sad there's no episodes, but I'm glad it happened. It was really fun. I'm glad you all played.
Selfishly,
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else agrees. I think it's fun I kind of like that we didn't have to watch it because then I don't have to watch people like, you don't have to watch people shit talk you behind your back and be like, oh God, can we vote her out? Like, this is awful.
That's true. That's true. Well, we do have another season coming up soon. All Stars, which was played last October. I'm almost finished with it. So there's a few people from season 5 on there. I'm excited for y'all to see it. Hopefully, it'll come out in about a month. So, got that to look forward to. Sweet.
That'll be awesome.
That'll be fun. All right. Y'all all have a great night.
Thank you,
See
Ned.
you later.
Thanks,
Thank
Ned.
Thanks,
y'all.
Thank
Ned.
you. See you
All
on
right.
Survivor Legends Brains Tribe. We're
Yeah.
running it back. All right, thank
All
you.
right. Yeah, see y'all.